Hello everybody and welcome back to the Barbican at York. It is the UK Championship quarter-final and it's the world number 1 against the world number 8. Judd, the ace in the pack, versus the dragon, Junhui. Both players have had brilliant campaign already here. And if you talk about Judd beating Xiaowei and Stephen Maguire, well, that was certainly a hell of a clearance against Xiaowei in the fourth frame, on his way to a 6-3 win. And if you talk about Ding Junhui himself, you know, he had a pretty competitive win over Shu Si and then beating Scott Donaldson with a scoreline of 6-4 and 6-5 for Scott just a couple of days ago. So technically, both of them have gone through beating that player from China and player from Scotland. And let's see, now they face off against each other. Of course, we're going to have Pang Jung-soo against Neil Robertson being played alongside us on table number 2. And the player that will win that pairing and the meeting between Pang Jung-soo and Robertson himself will face off either Judd or Ding Junhui in the semi-final stage. And, well, if you talk about Judd, I mean, he's actually, funnily enough, won less tournaments here at the UK Championship, I should say, than Ding Junhui has managed, with Ding winning this tournament on 3 occasions and Trump doing that on 2 occasions, completing that double last year with the win over Barry Hawkins. And his opening win, of course, was here in 2011. And if you talk about Ding Junhui, he's managed to win this tournament against Steve Davis in 2005. So, you know, almost, well, 20 years ago now. As, by the way, another incredible milestone with us having Ronnie O'Sullivan to turn 50 years of age. So we've got the class of 92 completed and over to, well, the 5th decade for them. Congratulations to Ronnie. Of course, unfortunately, he's no longer part of the tournament. But we will await his decision on whether he will play in the Masters. And hopefully we'll see plenty more of him in the second part of the season. For now, it is going to be a potential long shot available for Trump as he tries to get himself underway here and unable to do so. And he was playing that with very little power. So clearly just trying to get that cue ball lined up either on the black or basically just not leaving any of those reds available to Ding. And listen, if you talk about head-to-head, you can say that 21 matches have been played in between those two. And, well, pretty even. 12 wins for Trump, 9 for Ding. And, you know, a couple of them, of course, have been in the UK Championship. And the last time those two have actually met in between each other was the Masters last season. I think that was the quarter-final stage as well. And the last meeting here at York at the Barbican was, I think it was 2 seasons ago, where it was a semi-final clash. And Ding Junhui managed to beat Judd and ended up as a runner-up, losing out to Ronnie O'Sullivan by a scoreline of 10 frames to 7. A bit of a safety battle now that we've got on our hands, and Trump not really going to be happy with the shot that he just played because he has left a diagonal red on for Ding, which, well, I mean, he's not going to leave any of those reds available to Trump, apart from maybe the one that Ding is going to try and play right now. So I don't think Judd will be happy with the way he's taking that shot on, and now it's a very important start now for Ding. Because if you talk about his matches against Donaldson and Shu Si, he was always able to get himself as the front runner. And that's exactly what he's managed to do here. So, good start there for Ding, because he rolls the red in with little power. Always a bit more difficult for you to control their potting angle. And there's always a bit of a chance with the cue ball fading away there, but manages to play the shot really nicely. Gets himself lined up for the black. Now the first shot gives himself a couple more of those reds. So the first real chance there for Ding. He's now 8 points clear of Ding Junhui. And Trump is leading the poll 75%. Yeah, I can understand it, as I say. I've gone for Trump to win in 6-3. And the only reason why I said that is because Ding has actually played decent snooker in this tournament. But I just think A, lacks consistency for me. And then also another point that you have to make is that he's been making so many of those unforced errors that I just don't really see him beating the world number 1. And let's see if he's going to be able to avoid any of those unforced errors here. As he gets a nice little chance presented to him. With 16 points of deficit already over his opponent. So I think he'll just try and cannon the cue ball into those reds. Play the shot really nicely. Because he's still going to have himself positioned on the black. Pretty much in the perfect manner. Gets the red in. And, well, has actually managed to get himself a couple more of those reds available in play. So even though I will have Trump as the favourite horse for the win in this match, never count Junhui out of the equation, because we've got two similar sort of matches in terms of the odds for the higher rated seeded players, Judd and Neil Robertson, against the two players from China. One of them, of course, the world number 8, and the other is the world number 28 at the moment, with Ding Junhui and Pan Jingsu being the dark horses of the opening two quarterfinals. And Ding hasn't really played a good shot now, because once again he was trying to get the cue ball to get it into the reds, and hopefully for himself land on at least one of them into left corner or left middle. And in the end, I mean, probably the only red that he's got available to him is going to be the one into the right middle, but the queuing is going to be awkward there for him. So may have to just try and son the cue ball now with very little power for the pink to be taken into the left middle instead, but that's going to leave his options limited, as if to next sort of red selection there for him. So I think once again we'll just try and make things happen now, and play the shot with a bit of power once again, with a lot of screw back on the cue ball. And well, I think he was clearly trying to get the cue ball on the right hand side of the table and get it lined up for the left corner. Has actually overcued this one, with the pink going in amongst the reds there with its spot taken. Will no longer have that option of playing for the pink, at least in the foreseeable future. And the red that he was playing for, I mean, he's still on it, but it just makes the shot very difficult there for him. Also pretty much impossible to avoid the cannon with the reds, which is going to make the shot tricky there for him as well. Ding just having a look, see if he's going to be able to get the red in. Play this one with a lot of topspin on the cue ball, and he's managed to do it nicely, and he's managed to do it absolutely perfectly. So no sign of any unforced errors for now, and certainly just confirmation of that brilliant positional split success that he's had over this week. And well, let's see if he's going to be able to get this frame one in the current visit to the table. And of course, remember, he's still on the break of 39 points, so you know, he's, for now at least, he's on a 146 potentially. So he could be another really high quality break from Ding. Had a couple of centuries already in his beatings of Shu Si and Scott Donaldson previously. But as I say, I think the missing pace there for him was to try and string maybe 2 winning breaks in a row there and avoid any of those unforced errors along the way. Once again, we'll play for the pink here to get a couple of those reds out of the way for the cue ball, as he uses them as a little bit of a handbrake. And once again, just gives him 2 options now to try and play with. A red into the left middle or the one into the left corner. And if Chomp was starting this match as the favourite, and quite a significant favourite by the way, he's no longer going to be a massive favourite now, with Ding Junhui being just a couple of spots away there from clinching the opening frame, as he's now 47 points up on Chomp. He's going to have 4 difficult reds to return to anyway, but I think Ding will know better than anyone on this arena the clearance that Chomp has actually managed to make against Si Xiaohui yesterday, where he was 64 points down, had the black tides on the cushion, and still managed to make an incredible break of 65 points to go 3-1 at the interval, and ultimately give himself the advantage that he managed to convert into a 6-3 win in the end. Now 54 points is the advantage for Ding, as Chomp is, well, Chomp has his table time cut off now, especially in the opening frame. And Ding just having a look to see if he's going to be able to go for the pink into the right middle, or instead wants to go for the black now into the right corner of the table. And in the end goes for the pink here, so 80 points is the advantage. So needs 2 more reds as long as he takes the first one with the pink to go 68 points clear, with only 67 points on the table. And he'll take it with the black, it would seem, because it didn't really position the cue ball nicely. And you can see once again there, beautiful long shot, nicely played there by Ding, which actually set him up with this chance here for a frame winning break. This black though is a bit awkward now, because the angle on the cue ball is not perfect. The hand placement is going to be a bit awkward there for him as well, because of those 2 reds being in the way. So has to extend the cue there away from his hand, and doesn't really have to worry about the position on the next red, because he'll come anyway. Just has to make sure he knocks the black in, and he will. And now 68 points is the advantage. So as I say, the next red is going to be frame ball, and he's going to leave Judd needing snookers. This position pretty much impossible to recover from now. And of course, we will require Ding to miss the next colour straight away, which doesn't seem to be the case, with once again another beautiful shot being played, getting the cue ball alongside the bowlers, the ball colours, and just getting through the gap there of the brown and green. And now 69 points is the advantage, so just roll the blue into the right middle. Make sure you're going to have 74 points as the advantage, and with 67 of those points, it is going to be Judd singing out the majority of the first frame here, and will be trying to get himself back in the rhythm as red is going to wobble but still drop in into the middle, as Ding was trying to get a couple of those reds to develop with the cue ball, and in the end still going to have that century hunt resumed, but now having 75 points of a cushion to Judd. So nice little start that by Ding, because as I say, he's had a couple of centuries in the previous rounds, and well, positional success in the tournament, as you can see, is 93%. I'd like to see what his pot success is going to be like, because with all those unforced errors, you reckon it will be a bit less than that. And you can see 91%, so still decent. You know, he's played a lot of frames there. He's played the maximum amount in the match against Scott Donaldson, and he's played 10 more in his opening round against Junhui. Takes a nice little red along the cushion into the right corner, but as he tries to play for the black, it was trying to get a couple of those reds into the open play. He wasn't able to do so, and now as he goes for the double, he's going to be unable to make a century break, as it is now the break of 89 points and the opening frame to Ding Junhui. Before this tournament, I felt that Ding was on a downward spiral in the ranking, but he seems to have rediscovered his best form. Well, I agree to an extent, because I don't think he had a good season. You know, you would struggle to point out a particular good result there for him. I think he made it into the quarterfinals of... no, it was the last 16 anyway, wasn't it? In the International Championship, where he lost out to Sean Murphy. He wasn't really good in any of the Home Nation series. He wasn't good at Saudi. He wasn't good at Wuhan Open, so British Open, not like that. And, well, you have to say, it's interesting. Always saw him play greatly, but it's rare that he reaches last stages. Well, I think it depends on which year you talk about, because I remember times where I started, well, not started, but it was the first couple of years, so 2018, 2017, 2015, 2014 to an extent as well, where he was playing really, really nicely, and you always would expect him to reach the business end of the tournament. Of course, winning this tournament in 2019 as well. And, well, Ding Junhui, with the thumbs up, you certainly have to say that about his opening frame performance. And it's all about if he's going to be able to keep Judd quiet, with I think that's going to be the main point for him to try and go off at the start of the second frame, with the Trump being ready to have the second one started. Let's see if he's going to have the response now, because the quarterfinal seems to start off perfectly for Ding Junhui, and also for the neutral fans, because when you have the world number one and the top seeded player, with him being the reigning champion of the UK Championship, getting off to a bit of a bad start there, and the underdog clinching the opening frame in a dominant manner, he always sets you up for a very interesting encounter to watch in between the two players. As now Ding just having a look to see if he can see enough of that red to potentially take it into the right corner, but don't think that's the case, and therefore has to be called a successful break there by Trump. Ding will just try and get the cue ball to the bottom part of the table. And cannons the blue though. Ooh, I mean, got a lucky kiss off the blue and still managed to get the cue ball perfectly in behind the green. Not quite a snooker, but still limits the options there for Trump. And probably taking that remote red into the main pack is going to be the only option that he can see from the angle that he finds himself in. And tournament safety success, as you can see, 82% for Trump and 71% for Ding. Never really been one of the best players when it comes to a safety battle, but when it comes to long pots, you can always count on Trump making one of those stick, and that was a brilliant one. Very much reminds you of the pot that Ding Junhui has managed to take against Scott Donaldson in his final clearance and decider yesterday, finding an emote red and rolling this one into the left corner, and well, using the magic of the dragon against the dragon himself. That seems to be the name of that shot there. And getting the cue ball to the lower part of the table from the green. And now let's see if we're going to have a Judd response now. Because he has got a couple of those reds available to himself. Rolls the first one of them. And yeah, he can play one along the blackball cushion. I think he's going to have enough of a space there to make the shot possible for Trump. And he also has got one more of those reds available to him. So let's see if he's going to try and get into the bunch straight away. He has. And is he going to be on the red into the middle? The cue ball's going to bounce away into the pack. And, ooh, I mean, it's a touch and go. He's managed to get himself sort of 5 of those reds now. To be replaced by those 2. And, well, he can take this red on. But the problem is he's going to have... He's looking to see if blue is going to be possible. With that kiss from Junhui previously, putting that one very close to the right cushion. But you can see just if you put the cue ball close enough to it, you could just try and drop the blue in. And not going to have a lot more of those issues. Well, I said you want the cue ball to be a lot closer than that. And yeah, it ain't going to be perfectly set up there by Trump because he's not even worried about the potting angle. But simply getting himself for the reds. May have to play this one with power and just make the shot very... tricky there for him. You know, he's lined up for the green, but doesn't have the angle to get the cue ball for the lower part of the table. So, decision time for Trump. And, well, having a look to see just rolling the cue ball in behind the green probably will be the right decision there. Unfortunate. And in the end, that was always going to be the risk there. With Trump going into the back quite early, it is going to be the break of 13 points. And a snooker lined up in behind the green. Let's see if Ding has poked the bear into action. Well, the first bit of action from the bear doesn't seem to actually be that successful. 13 points of the position that he had. Could have had more than that. But as we have seen, his safety success there from Ding over the tournament hasn't actually been that great. So getting him snooker lined up on him with only one of those reds being close to the cushion could still be a bit of an issue there. And... let's see if he's going to be able to get the red with the first attempt. And he's going to counter with a bit of power. And let's see if he's placed the red perfectly on the cushion. Because if he has, I would expect John to take this one on. But only if the red is perfectly on the cushion. And it is perfectly on the cushion. So now, very important shot there by John. It's not quite one of those warm-up shots. But he's played it absolutely perfectly. And once again, no margin for error with those tight pockets. And no need for error for Judd for now. And gets himself re-established once again for the black. I think he's got the angle on the cue ball once again to try and roll the cue ball into those reds. But he ain't going to get far with this one as he misses the black into the left corner. And once again, it is going to be unforced error from Judd right now. And, well, what started off as a nice little shot there into the right corner was followed up by a bad shot from the black. And it is going to be back to Ding Junhui there. You'll have a couple of those reds available. Sets up very kindly there by Judd to him. And it's the first real chance for Ding to try and get himself a 2-0 of a cushion now. Probably a bit early to say that, although, you know, you had 5 reds eliminated. And you're going to have this black to be taken, put back on his spot. Still has got a couple of reds to try and make his way through right now. But Ding's not going to mess around. He's going to try and get himself a couple of more of those reds developed. And he's played the cue ball straight into the pack of reds off the cushion. And let's see if he's got one into the middle, because that will make his life a lot easier with the way for the black being available. But with the way he's looking at his shot, probably has to go for a more difficult of the cut into the left corner. Although he's having once again a look at this red to see if he manages to take it. Not going to risk taking it with a backspin, so just a little bit of roll through for the pink into the left middle. Get it re-established back on his spot, and well, once again, have a nice little chance of taking another frame away from Judd here. He's only 5 points behind right now, so the pink will put him ahead once again in this frame. And, well, with 99 points available, majority of those reds are actually in open play. You could see Ding trying to run away with this one. Once again, we had a break of 89 points previously, and it's not really a sign which is going to tell you that this break is going to be worth any fewer of points than the previous one for Ding, because remember that one had a couple of reds rested on the cushion, which at some point was a nice little buffer there for Ding, because it would ensure that even if Chomp was to come back to the table, he was unable to make a clearance look easy there for him. And in the end, turned into a little bit of an issue there with Ding's pursuit of a century break, as he was unable to develop enough of them and ended up on taking a double, which he has missed, leaving on 89 points in the opening frame, but now gets himself lined up once again for the black. So we'll try and build his break in and around the black spot, as he likes to do. And probably second best Chinese player. And, well, greatest of all time in terms of China, certainly. But right now, with Xiao Xington being the famous for his positional play, and just full control of the cue ball, especially when it comes to the black spot, I think you certainly can see where the blueprint was. But with Xiao Xington just lacking a bit of consistency, it's not something that you would usually use in favour of Ding Junhui, but he's actually the player, alongside Zhang Anda, which has managed to reach the quarter-final stage, with a couple of more of course, English players, featuring alongside Pang Junsu and Neil Robertson, as I say, another Chinese player. And we're going to have Barry Hawkins, after a dominant win against Elias Lesser, up against Mark Selby later this evening, and another man from England, Sean Murphy, after defeating John Higgins in a thrilling decider yesterday, is going to be set up to try and beat the player that managed to knock out the world champion out of the UK Championship. Zhang Anda is going to be up against Sean Murphy. So, you know, we were trying to get the first semi-final set up, with things still being very reluctant to give the place on the table back to Trump. And 18 points now is the advantage for Ding. He can try and take this pink carefully, make sure he's not going to have the cue ball compromised by the pink on the next shot, with it being quite close to the pink spot now, and played the shot really nicely, to be fair to him. And well, as I say, yeah, you can see the confirmation. Won his first Triple Crown event at the 2005 UK Championship, defeating Steve Davis 10-6 in the final. Davis that has managed to knock out Hendry in the semi-final at that stage. And, well, you know, the world number one, he's going to be in a bit of trouble now if Ding manages to get himself 20 more or so points here. Because if he leaves just 3 of those reds there for Trump, I think it's going to be impossible at that stage for Trump to recover this frame away from Ding. No signs of any of those unforced errors for now from the Dragon, and a couple of those seen already by the defending champion. The first one was a safety misjudgment in the opening frame, and the second one was black of the spot missed into the left corner. And now the outcome of that mistake does seem to be punished to its full extent, and you can see the replay. Yeah, just, well, he was playing that in the far jaw anyway, and it does actually look to miss that one by a bit of margin. So it wasn't like the black stayed over the pocket, and because he played that with power, has jumped right out of it. And 46 points now is the advantage for Ding. My money's on Ding. I bet it will be now. And I still think Trump can come back. I think it actually sets us up with a brilliant match now, because as long as Trump wins the next frame, of course, it's always one of those things. As Ding gets himself the frame ball over the line, now rolls the pink into the left corner. So once again, the break of 67 points to add up to the previous break of 89 points in the previous frame. And now it is going to be the perfect start there from the Dragon. And of course, you have to be very careful with that aspect. And now 54 points is the advantage for Ding. And just has a little look to see if he's going to have this black available into the left corner as he tries to get himself lined up for a century break here. Still going to have that blue and brown in a bit of a compromised position. Now 61 points is the advantage. And ultimately, the thing that you have to focus on right now is going to be 75 points is the break here. So taking 11 reds now. 5 blacks up to this point. 5 pinks as well. Looking to make it 6 blacks. And 5 pink colours that he managed to pot. Now, he gets to the problematic stage there for him. With a brown and blue transition, it's not going to be easy there for him. And he will need both of those colours. And, well, I think he's missed the yellow. So, once again, it is not going to be a century break there. And the hunt for that break of 100 points will continue there for Ding Junhui. But certainly a cushion of 2 frames to nil will be his for the taking. And it is now Ding Junhui 2, Judd 0 going into frame number 3. And we do have the match on our hands for sure. But the thing about this one is you always see... Not always, but majority of the time, you'll still see the world number 1, the high-rated seed, bounce back in those type of matches. By the way, let's have a look how Bang Jing-Soo against Neil Robertson are doing. And so Robertson managed to lose the opening frame, but he's currently on pursuit for a break there, leading by 22 points. So both Chinese players looking to try and run away there from the world number 1 and 3. Remember, we could still have a Chinese derby in the semi-final. And therefore, have a Chinese player in the final stage, unlike last season, with both of the players that actually ended up in the final still being in contention. The world number 1 that is currently playing on right now against Ding Junhui, and also the runner-up Barry Hawkins. He's going to play against Mark Selby after his dominant performance against Elias Slesser, not leaving, well, the man that managed to knock out the world number 2, Karen Wilson, any chance at all, and getting only the second win off a whitewash in the main draw of the UK Championship. And of course the first one was done by another Chinese player, Si Xiaowei, in the opening round, but that didn't help him to try and do the similar sort of thing there to Judd Trump. And in the end it was the second round which was the limit there for their former World Championship semi-finalist. Now once again, neat job by the referee. All the colours, all the reds are sorted, and we're going to have Ding Junhui to go for a break-off. So far, 13 points was the maximum that Judd Trump has scored, 14 I should say, and his break of 13 points still remains to be the best performance that we've seen in the early part of this match. But, you know, if we get ourselves into a 3-1 win there for the interval for Ding Junhui, I still don't think that Trump is going to be in and out of this match, because he has got that opportunity and capability of just coming back from pretty much any sort of a gap and still re-establishing himself back in contention for this match. Ding is on the roll. For now he is. As I say, pretty much flawless performance in the opening 2 frames. And indeed, Trump needs to warm up. He does. Letitia, good comment. And thing about warming up now, preferably you want to do it in one of the opening 2 frames, because if you lose both of them, you put yourself into an awkward spot there of, if you lose the third one, all of a sudden your opponent is halfway into the semi-final and he's still yet to get going, which is why preferably Trump is going to try and pursue that 2-all draw going into the interval, but at least has to make sure he gets at least one of those framed won. And well, I mean, he's having a good look at this safety battle right now, because he does seem to have his options very much limited, as in which reds to take on. He's looking at a bit of a dodgy plan now into the left corner, because the reason I say dodgy is I don't think he goes straight into the pocket with the distance that Trump has to cover up. Well, I mean, maybe just having a look to see if he can afford to give that double away to Ding. And with all the time that he's taken on the shot, may have to try and go for this red into the left corner. He has gone for it. He's missed it though. Now, has he left a red over to Ding Junhui now for the right corner? It's one of those sort of plans that he was looking at previously, and just see if one of those reds is going to be potable into the right corner. I don't think he will be. I think the other red is going to be in the way, and ultimately with the red that Trump was trying to play, finishing over the black ball cushion, he's still going to be in fine position to return himself back to the table. And well, one thing about Ding is he's not going to be a fan of those long safety battles, which is why I thought it was going to be a weapon at the early start of the match for Judd Trump, but he wasn't able to convert it. 2 mistakes, 2 punishment there, and 89 and 83 points scored by Ding Junhui in less than half an hour since the match has started. Well, if you're going to have Come On Ding on your short, we know who you're supporting, and you definitely have a horse in this race. But Ding is having a look to see if he's going to have, well, I mean, is he going for one of those reds to be taken into the right corner? I mean, I said the first one probably wasn't potable, but is the right one going to be able to be potted? He has gone for it. Now, is he going to be on the collar? He will be on the blue here. And, well, I'm very surprised to see Trump going for that shot in that case, because, and also don't really understand why Ding was taking so long there, because he made that shot look very easy indeed. And now it's all about getting the cue ball to sort of at least remain on the blue spot, or just underneath it, and get the blue to be potted into the green pocket. Once again, one of those shots which is going to set him up nicely for a frame win here. And once again, flawless shot there by Ding, getting himself to have 6 points of a deficit now for Judd to try and overturn. Pot success so far in the match, 98%. And, well, probably have to say the double and the yellow that he missed for a century were the only 2 pots that he has missed previously. And once again, getting himself re-established on a prime position there in and around the black spot, having all of those reds available, and the world number 1 is going to be in the world of trouble. Because at this stage, you have to say, it is very unlikely that Ding will lose this frame, barring something absolutely incredible. And if he's not going to lose this frame, it is going to leave Judd still potentially trailing 4-0 at the interval, if he is to lose the next frame as well. Table time 24% and 76%, respectively, in between the 2 of them, and both spotted 60-50 in favour of the Dragon. Now to watch live, Eurosport, TNT and WSD should be there for you. As I say, I've got a couple of options. I've got TNT lined up here, and I've got the WSD as the backup option. And, well, Jumpy is certainly going to be concerned about this one, because still have seen absolutely nothing of him, and have seen everything from Ding so far, barring a century break. So I think he'll be looking to try and re-establish that once the frame is over. And the break of 22 points is going to get him started nicely, having the majority of those to be played around the black. And the run for the red slightly, so I think he'll take a more difficult red into the left middle, try and get himself lined up for the blue, and try and recover the next position on the cue ball shortly. Frames 4 and 5 will be crucial for Ding, as many a time he seems to lose some focus there. True, because I have seen that against Donaldson, to be fair, yesterday, because I think Ding was 3-0 up himself at that time as well, and Donaldson managed to get that one to 3-1 down, 3-2 down, 4-2 down, 4-3, and he was just always there when Ding made mistakes, and that's something that Trump has to do, obviously. Ding manages to take that red into the left middle, and gets himself lined up for the yellow. But the thing about Ding yesterday was, when he was getting those frame wins, he was still making mistakes, and so far I've seen absolutely nothing of those. So far in the opening 2.5 frames, I've seen everything but a nice performance there from Trump, and Junhui looking to run away with it. Still a Triple Crown winner, of course, didn't complete a set with him not being the world champion just yet, but if he continues the form, he could be one of those dark horses for the World Championship. I have already chosen the dark horse from China, though. It will be Judd if he manages to get his game into a consistent level, and he's going to be able to have himself re-established against the likes of Mark Selby, Ben Wollaston, the players that like to take it slow in the game, and are just going to be able to outplay him, especially when it comes to long-term matches. And, well, Ding Junhui, even though he had a quiet start to the season, he's managed to get himself into at least the last 16 stage of the International Championship. Well, played well on the occasions against Murphy's. Seen some glimpses of him. But once again, the consistency wasn't there. But as he managed to get himself into this quarter-final stage, he does seem to turn up with the best possible performance of the season for now. Now, has to go for an extension on the cue. And a bit awkward now to try and get this red in. Avoid the cue ball to have a massive contact on the pink, and yeah, Ding is probably not going to be happy with himself, but you'll have to go for a rest shot now. And I thought he was going to go for a rest shot. He's just swapping the extension, so going for the longer one instead. And once again, just checking to see if he's going to have the next colour available there and waiting for him. Still, of course, not quite over the line here, with him having the brilliant position at his disposal, but because that only is the case until you make a mistake, and if you do make it, you will be And a brilliant position over to your opponent. And talk about mistakes. I mean, the timing couldn't have been better, and it couldn't have been worse for Junhui, because I didn't actually think he was going to miss this red, but he has rolled it way too close to the front cushion and missed the red and leaves the Chomp a chance now. And, well, 31 points is going to be absolutely nothing there for him, with Chomp being unhappy with the way he's played this shot. And, well, not sure if he's going to be unhappy with himself, because let's see the way he's hit the shot. Probably miscue there for him, because he still rolls the red in, but it's going to be absolutely nowhere on the black. And just having a look at the scoreboard, don't think he's got anyone but himself to blame. Comes into that shot a bit rusty, and maybe that was the reason why he didn't hit the shot as smooth as he would like it to. And well, I mean, what do you do now? It's going to be difficult for him to find a safety shot, to be honest with you. And, well, asking the referee to just clean the red out there, which he has managed to pot. So, clearly, keeping in mind for the next frame. Bang and Robertson are 1-0. Thank you very much for that. I have seen a crowd applauding in the background on the table number 2, but of course you never know for which one of those players it is actually going to be. So Robertson manages to do the same thing that he has done against Wu Yize, where he lost out the opening frame, but has managed to win 6 frames on the bounce. Now recovers well against Bang, and let's see which one of the players is going to be able to get themselves ahead out there. Chomp is still going to go for this black. Is he going to make it though? He will. Now, is he going to be on the red into the left middle? Because I thought he was going to go for a safety shot, especially with how much strike he's taken on the black, but just about drops it with very little power. Caught way too much of their sort of back-end duel, but at this stage, of course, it ain't going to matter at all. It is going to be black taken nicely for Chomp, and, well, needs one more good shot to get himself hopefully set up for a prime position, and this red is not a gimme at all, but plays the shot beautifully once again there from Judd. As long as he's going to be on the pink here, doesn't want to play for the black, and think he is going to have to play for the black. The reason why I say doesn't really want to play for it is because he has missed the black previously. He's got a bit of distance in between the cue ball and the black itself, and also has to play this one with power. No problem at all with getting the black in. Is he going to have the position on the red? He will be, so 16 points scored there by Chomp, and 15 points is the deficit for him to try and overcome, having, 7 reds available. Is he going to be able to get himself 66 points so that he's not going to lead the last red, which currently has gone onto the top part of the table, quite close to the side cushion, so maybe an issue there for him. And, of course, he's appeared in the quarterfinal of the UK Championship for the 6th time, and never lost at the quarterfinal stage. Yeah, I was going to say, that seemed a bit off there to me, because I swear I said 2 years ago he has lost to Junhui, but that, of course, was at the semi-final stage, so not quite a quarter-final at that time. And now 7 points is the deficit for Chomp. Once again, not perfect on this red into the middle, but shouldn't be as difficult as the previous one that he's managed to get. And rolls the red in nicely, going to be on the top side of the blue. And now the comeback is most certainly on there for Chomp. And it's all about trying to, well, get the job over until he reaches the last red. And set himself up with a nice little appearance in the last frame of the opening mini session here. Because, well, he could have been going into the interval with a scoreline of 2 frames to each against Junhui, and he most certainly was doing that against Stephen Maguire as well. But let's see if he's going to find himself behind for the first time. But, of course, more importantly, just get himself a frame on the board. Make sure it's not going to be a whitewash at the first mini session, and then try and keep your chances up there alongside Junhui for taking the semi-final spot and making the last 4 list of the UK Championship this year. Another red disappears, so he's got 3 more of those lined up, and yeah, he should be absolutely fine for taking 3 of them with high value colours, which is going to get him onto a 40 points advantage or so, which is going to mean the fact that he's not going to need that red onto the top part of the table. Bang seems to be in fine form. He does. I mean, remember, he was 1-0 with Mark Williams, and that has resulted into a 4-1 of an advantage for Bang Jung-soo, and Williams in the end was unable to make that work for him. And even though he has managed to clinch 2 frames on the bounce, Bang has gone to close the work off and win and knock out the second class of 92 member out of the tournament. And of course the third one was knocked out yesterday by Sean Murphy, so we're not going to have anyone of John Higgins, Mark Williams or Ronnie O'Sullivan in the quarterfinal stage, which does seem to be a rarity of the Triple Crown events. Now 20 points is the advantage for Judd Trump as he rolls the red in. So now making that to 21 points, and now just having a look to see if he's got enough angle on the black to try and get in behind that red, which is quite close to the right cushion, but shouldn't be anywhere near a problem for him actually to drop the red in. And in the end, it's probably just going to leave himself reaching for that cue ball. And you can see that costly miss from Ding Junhui of actually misjudging there the trajectory on that red. But I mean, this red is still not an easy one because hand placement is going to be awkward there for Trump. And still going to roll the red in nicely. So 30 points is the advantage. So the black for 37 points of a cushion. I mean, technically, you can try and take the pink on. Just get the cue ball closer to that red. And yeah, he's going to be very straight on the black. So maybe just focus on the pot slightly more. And still go for the black now. And applied a lot of backspin on the cue ball. Now it's going to be close to the red. Where's he going to finish? It's going to finish, well, probably just about as perfect as it could have been. Because there's going to be a little distance in between the red and the cue ball. But you can still try and get this one in the pocket. And of course, if you don't, just force Ding to try and take it away from the table. And that way, you can ensure that he's going to have a very difficult job of actually making the snooker pursuit against Trump. And, well, I mean, the century hunt is still on there for Judd as far as I'm aware, because if he rolls the brown in, he's going to get himself onto 73 points, and the total clearance will leave him exactly on 100 points out there. So, with all the domination from Ding Junhui, the opening couple of frames still could be one more chance for Trump to make a century break, but not quite on this occasion. Once again, it is going to be the yellow, which is going to prevent Trump from making a century break. But it's still going to be a very important break there of 73 points. And Judd Trump is back in the hunt out there. And once again, you see players going 2-0 up, but unable to convert it into a 3-frame advantage. And now it is going to be Judd Trump within touching distance of Ding Junhui going into the last frame of the opening mini-session here. And for me, I'm on to the last 8 and think Selby's in very good form. He is. I actually was surprised to see his performance against both Li Beifan and Zhou Yulong, because slightly different players, and he was able to just dismantle them really, really nicely. I think he'll have a challenge in Hawkins though, because Hawk was playing well, wasn't really playing too well against David Lilley. He was struggling at that time, but I think Lilley played quite well, especially at the starting point. And listen, that performance against Elias Sessa will leave anyone stunned. So it will be the battle of the two English people out there, the world number 11 and the world number 13 there with Barry and Selby. And let's see if we're going to have one more, maybe semi-final appearance of the UK Championship there for Barry Hawkins. He's still looking for his maiden win. And Selby, of course, making this win in, I think it was in 2016. And don't believe scores anymore. Yesterday I fell asleep where Higgins was 5-2. This morning I wake up seeing Murphy won. So I'll wait until the end now. I swear the scoreline wasn't 5-2. I swear it was 5-3. Let me have a look. Because I was watching that match, and if I was watching it that badly, it shouldn't really be the case. I think it was 4-2. I don't think it was 5-2. But I can't really see. Higgins will be one of the last players that would expect to lose 4 frames on the bounce. Yeah, it was 5-3. Yeah, it was 5-3 at that time. Because, still, winning 3 frames on the bounce against Higgins is very impressive. But winning 4 of them on the bounce, I mean, tell me a player that is least likely to lose 4 frames on the bounce, and I'll say John Higgins without a shadow of a doubt. Nice break once again there by Ding. And just looking to see if... nice break by Trump out there. And Ding's just looking to see if he's going to have any one of those reds that he can try and get into the right corner. But talking about just players getting over the line. We have always seen that. You have Stuart Bingham leading 5-0 against Scott Donaldson in the Judgment Day, and then Scott manages to win 6 frames on the bounce, making the break of 50 plus in every single one of those frames, and still get himself lined up. I still remember that first round match of Champion of Champions where I think Salgadon didn't score any points against Ronnie in the opening 3 frames. Of course, it was first to 4 in the opening round, as Trump was leaving on the edge, catching both of the jaws of the middle pocket, and still getting the cue ball into a safe position, or somewhat safe. It's beyond the bulk line. Still, maybe he's going to have a little tempter away for Junhui to try and take into the right corner. And Trump seems to have a problem with the stat chart. Yeah, I know about that, but listen, it's you're always going to have that conversation with the tables, and therefore you're going to have to try and deal with it. I actually absolutely agree with Robertson's comments, because I said it before he said it, but I'm absolutely going to be very happy to share his opinion. If you're going to have tighter pockets, with the way the standard of the snooker has gone up, and he actually raises a really valid point, which I wasn't actually thinking about, because maybe that was the reason why the standard in snooker has gone up massively, because you have the wider pockets now than what he had, as he says, in the first sort of 5 to 10 years, when he started to be a pro. When you try and take those shots, sort of, I don't know what it was, 15, 20 years ago, you weren't able to get those shots now with those pockets, and therefore, he likes to have a bit of a challenge there. He just says make sure that if player pots the red or the colour, he's going to have to try and do it in the middle of the pocket, because it also impacts the safety game. Because, say for example, you run yourself out of position, you try and get the cue ball to go onto the top part of the table, and you leave a red on, which you would expect normally, especially if you compare it to 2011, 2010, for example, prime Robertson years. You're not going to be able to take that red on, but now you can, and that's a good point, because it just prevents players from playing the safety battle and just going for the red, because you're more likely to drop it in anyway with wider pockets, but also you feel like if you're going to go for a safety, there's more of a chance of you leaving something away to your opponent. So, completely get his point. And I also think if you want to be amongst one of the best, you have to make sure that you get the cue ball to operate perfectly, and you get those reds, those blacks with those pinks, and all the colours right in the centre of the pocket, which is going to have to be the requirement, and doesn't seem to actually have been the case throughout the major part of the last couple of seasons. And tournament safety, Joey alone, 83.8%, higher than Mark Selby. I mean, that is baffling to me. Selby, 83.2%, Trump, 81.6%, Scott Donaldson, 81.5%, and Elliot Slessor, 80.8%. I mean, hardly believe those numbers, because Elliot Slessor losing 11 frames in his opening 2 rounds, 10 frames. He lost 4 frames against Karen Wilson, and it's a horror shot there, by the way, from Ding Junhui, which managed to lay, well, a safety shot that looked to be ordinary, but in the end he has forced Ding into taking a 2-cushion escape and gets one of those reds available for Trump now. And don't try and wrinkle it seems. Why should they complain? I want the pockets the size of... Exactly, Peter. I absolutely agree with that. You don't really want snooker to be changing its way, because you're going to turn it into pool, basically, because you're going to have one visit to the table as a win for your opponent. I don't really want to see that. It just makes the match a bit boring there from that perspective, because if you're going to have a chance given away to your opponent straight away, and then you miss an easy shot, and then when you return back to your chair that 99% or something like that, he's going to actually win the frame, then what's the point? Because it's just going to destroy the morale, it's going to destroy the viewing numbers, because even though you want fluency in the game, you still want consistency, and you still want battles on the base. And don't think you're going to get that if you're going to make the pockets the size of pool. So, I actually agree and support Robertson on that point. And, Trump having a look to see if he's going to have this break to win him the frame here once again. Having the black out of the equation is going to be a bit of a problem there. But as he now plays a nice little shot there with his screw back on the cue ball. Getting the wrong side of the blue, but still going to have one more red onto the top part of the table, so we can try and play for that one. As we look to close off the opening mini session here. Trump's going to underrun for this red slightly, so He's going to have to go for the ball colours on his next shot. And, well, I mean, even though he's got a nice little position of red set up, some of them are actually going to be in the way of each other. So he still has to make sure his positional play is going to be very much in place there, as he has been throughout the majority of the third frame. And just having a look to see if he's going to go for this brown into the yellow pocket. Get the cue ball to bounce off the left side cushion and get it lined up for the next red, which Trump does seem to have an eye for now. I think the easier positional shot is going to be for one of those reds quite close to the cushion, but it's going to be Trump's decision in the making. Not really understand the shot that he was playing for. I mean, he's either on the run for that. Okay, that's fine. I thought that red was actually going to be blocked off there. So he's gone for the red, which he's still on the run for, but he's going to be able to recover the shot in terms of getting the red into the pocket. And it's all about just getting the cue ball onto the top part of the table and getting it lined up for the blue. On the run for it, though. Not going to be on the wrong side of it. And thank you very much, by the way, for everyone watching. We've got 230 people with us right now, so feel free to hit the like button on the stream and subscribe to the channel. We're still going to have that one table format, I should say, on the semi-final and the final stage, with us about to get the first two semi-finalists to be known in a matter of hours now, with that Trump not really playing a good safety shot there. Sorry, not the safety shot, the positional shot there, with getting the blue in, got the cue ball in between the ball colours, but landed on the cushion. And was always going to take the red alongside this side cushion, but has seen those miss previously, especially. This looks to be an absolute carbon copy of the shot that was missed by Wu Yizi yesterday against Neil Robertson. But Judd Trump just showing that he ain't going to be Wu Yizi now. He's going to try and be a bit of Neil Robertson of himself. And gets himself lined up for the pink once again. So, of course, the position that Ding has had in the second frame and the position that Trump has had in the previous frame probably have been a lot easier than that, but it will just make it taste even sweeter there for Trump if he actually manages to win the frame from the position that he found himself in at the start of this break there for him, after an inaccurate safety shot and trying to get himself away from a snooker escape from Junhui. Managed to get way too much of the red, pushed it over the right middle and left one more red for the right corner there for Trump to try and take it. Of course, Trump still has to ensure that he's not going to repeat the same mistake that Ding has done in the previous frame, and that's exactly what he's done now. Not quite missing a shot, but running himself completely out of position, and it was 31 points at that time for Ding, and at this stage it is going to be 38 points of an advantage there for Trump. And of course, the advantage that he's got now is he's going to have the black out of the game. He's going to have a couple of those reds on there, side and black ball cushion. And he's going to have 38 points of an advantage there to him. So just trying to get the cue ball into a safe zone. And trying to get the white into an area where they won't be able to see any easy of a long shot there for him to try and take. So now just having a look to see if it is going to be... Thank you too. Yeah, thank you, Letitia. Appreciate that. And just having a look to see if he's going to be able to get past the brown. Preferably wants to do it. And, well, not quite in the end. But still, it is going to be just about fine there for him. Because he's going to have the blue in the way in terms of not leaving any of those aggressive shots to be taken. And just having a look to see if Ding is going to have to go for that remote red just on top of the black. Try and maybe get that one into play. But has to compromise the cue ball exit in the end, and well, I thought that he was trying to do this shot a bit too soon there, Ding. And it remains to be seen whether he left out a red there for Trump to try and take. Because at this stage, of course, can't afford to miss it with the black being in open play. That's gone exactly on the blue spot right now. Cannon in the blue out of the way. And see if he's just going to be able to get this red shot into the left corner pocket. Oh, he's missed that one by an absolute mile. But I don't actually think that he was attempting this one, because he's gone for another red anyway. And if it was a safety shot, which does seem to suggest the mimic and the way that he's missed the shot by, if he was attempting it, he hasn't really played a good safety shot there, because I can clearly see a path for Ding to try and get this red into the corner and still get himself lined up for sort of, I don't know, any of the bold colours. So get the cue ball into the safe zone and still have 5 colours available there to his name. So whatever Chomp was thinking about in the previous shot, doesn't seem to execute it just as well as he could have. And now Ding looking to go for this red now into the left corner. So play this one with a lot of power and a bit of topspin on the cue ball. Let's see if he's going to be able to knock this one in. And, well, I thought he would, but didn't really manage to. And the cue ball is still going to go over the bulk line. The red has jumped out of the pocket and gone quite far away from it on the ball cushion. On the black ball cushion, I should say. And, well, once again, it's a shot that not going to leave anything easy there for Chomp. I see a red which he could actually go for into the left corner normally, but I think he's going to have a cue ball to be cannoned into a couple of those reds, which is going to make him make this shot unwanted there for Chomp. But he was once again not really too accurate there with the safety play, getting the red pretty much on the blue ball zone and leaving that one for a long shot now. Has to strike this one absolutely perfectly because the angle is still going to be slightly against Ding. He's not going to have the entire pocket to try and aim at. And the front end jaw is going to come at him very quickly. I thought he was going to attempt it. The cameraman thought so as well. And in the end, he just refuses it and goes for another beautiful safety shot there. Though it is going to be a slight issue there with having all of those reds on the black ball cushion now. Even though he's managed to get the black itself out of that captivity and getting in open play, he's now going to be limited in terms of the reds actually being in open play now. But the biggest issue for Chomp now is going to have to be he either goes for a cross double, which will make him leave one of those reds away from the side cushion. But the fact that he hasn't actually considered it, probably going to suggest that it's going to be very difficult there for him to avoid the double kiss. And making this shot very much an unwanted target there for Chomp. And yeah, he just seems to be taking a bit of time on the shot, which is always going to be a suggestion that it is going to be a very difficult of an execution there for him to try and do it. Maybe just roll the cue ball into those reds, to be fair, with the shot clock ticking now over a minute. And just having a look to see if it is going to be able to just, well, roll the cue ball as close as you can to those reds. And I think that's the way that he's trying to do it. And, I mean, he was trying to get them on the way back with a side spin. Is he going to leave a free ball away, though? Because this could be important at this stage. I think the referee will not say that and just ask Ding Junhui to confirm that. He's going to have to put the cue ball back where he was. Robertson 2, Pang 1. Thank you very much, Gareth. He seems to be my update scoreline, which always saves me a bit of time of switching the screen off, going over to live scores and checking myself. And, well, once again, Robertson has gone on the run there of at least 2 frames against the Chinese player after losing the opening frame, where he hasn't managed to. I don't think he's done it against Leclerc, though. So he's done it against Wu, and now he's done it against Pang, where he lost the opening 2 frames and managed to get himself back into the game. So as we get the position back set up for Chomp to try and reattempt taking this red, and I don't know if he's going to try and hit it from behind once again, because if he's going to try and roll it as his third shot to avoid the 3 miss rule, which is going to avoid the frame to his opponent, I just think it probably is going to be one of those things where you can still see the cue ball to fade away there. And now we're getting onto the cue ball. The green has been re-established, so just a wait to be respotted. So taking a bit of time now, and you would expect. So Chomp ultimately, of course, guaranteed himself not to be going 4-0 down into the next frame. And yeah, referee and Chomp, and therefore Ding Junhui seems to be happy with the way the cue ball has been respotted. He is going to go for the same short selection though. And yeah, a bit of side spin. And yeah, he's not going to have anywhere near as much traction on the cue ball as you would have liked to. So Bailey going to go over the blue ball zone. I mean, it's still going to leave this red very awkward there for Ding. Not only because it's an awkward cut there, but I pretty much think it's impossible for him to find that way for the cue ball to go in between all of those reds and therefore getting into a free zone of colours. Because that used to be the case. I mean, he's looking at the plant into the right corner, which probably is going to be more of a sensible idea. Last pot time going to 25 minutes there, I think, but I mean, it's difficult because the plant is going to have a bit of distance in between the two reds, but he's going to have the position for the cue ball. Now, he does seem to go for the risky red. And no, he wasn't. He was playing for a safe shot anyway. It just seemed like he was aiming for the line, which has actually been very close to that risky red. And, well, once again, getting that one into the open play. Let's see if Chom fancies his chances now of taking another long shot. And trying to get himself onto a second chance here of taking this frame away here from Ding and making it 2 frames on the bounce for each of the players. They'll be heading to frame number 5 after an intermission of 15 minutes time. So Chom just has to try and find the edge now with him refusing the long shot. I mean, he's played this one very marginally anyway because of the way the cue ball has gone millimeters away of touching one of the reds on the side cushion, but he's still cannon the cue ball comfortably into the blue, and now he's going to have a chance given away to Junhui, having to bridge over the brown though. So with that last pot time going to 26 minutes now, he will pretty much certainly take this red on, and it's just a question of if he's going to be able to get the position away. Ooh, I mean, that's unlucky because he's going to have that position on the pink, but anywhere but perfectly on the side cushion with him taking this red right into the heart of the pocket, but just cannons the red straight from behind there and, well, smiling about it, but you'll be absolutely fuming on the inside because it's an absolute horror shot for him to take on. I know he's an attacking player, but I don't think he's going to be taking this shot against Judd in the quarterfinal of a Triple Crown event, so just one of the ball colours to choose from, unless he wants to cannon into the blue, which has actually gone alongside the brown and the green spot. And it's a safety shot. Played decent there by Ding. At this stage, as I say, it's still not going to matter for him just taking those reds out of the game. It's just going to be one less red, which is actually going to be in open play there for him. And as it stands, you're going to have 2 of those reds in open play. With the first one probably being, well, having its location changed for sure, because that's the red that Trump will try and attempt. Let's see if he's going to be able to get the cue ball into a nice spot this time around. And, well, the line looks good. Now, he just overplayed it for the cue ball and just going to show enough of that red for Ding Junhui to try and take it into the right corner, because he probably is the only red that he can actually see there, apart from the one on the side cushion. But it's the most dangerous one as well. It does look to be very close there of Ding seeing the edge that will take him into that red with just about a precise angle for it to drop into the right corner. But when you have those fine margins and fine limits there, you rarely see players taking on there, because if you're going to try and go for this cut and you misjudge it by a millimetre or so, you're either going to miss the red by significant margin or you're going to catch the blue, which is going to be the way. But he does seem to take this one on. Missed it though. Where's the red going to end up? Seems to be going into a safe place. Yes, it is going to be on the left side cushion there, so pretty much into a safe place. There he goes. And Ding Junhui is going to have to go back to his seat, and I think going to be very happy with the way that he hasn't actually given a chance away to Chomp. And Chomp will probably just try and put that one onto the ball cushion. And instead, he just switches the side of the cushions that he's going to be leaving the red on from left to right. Covers up the last red, which is currently in open play, and average frame time, as you can see, 12.5 minutes, although we have only seen 3.5 of those. And the current frame time is going to go over 20 minutes, and still no real sign of it ending just yet. Therefore, it is going to take a bit of time there for the players to get this one settled. Trump already having a look to see how things are going on the other table. And whilst Ding thinking about his next short selection, you're going to have Neil Robertson very much fancying his chances there with a 24 points of a cushion over Pan Jung-soo to getting himself a 3-1 of a lead going into the interval himself. Can Ding Junhui try and do a similar sort of thing there? Or is it going to be Chom to try and go back for the level things? Once again, it's a decent safety shot. Nicely played there by Ding. And just having a look to see if Chomp is going to be able to get through to that red and try and take it into the right corner. Don't think that's the case. I think the pink is going to be in the way. And therefore, has to try and find the edge of the same red. And try and get the cue ball onto the black ball zone. And it's actually played the shot quite nicely. Once again, getting one more red out of the open play. So just probably confirming that this frame time is going to be way over 12.5 minutes. With already reaching 20 minutes. And for now, we're just going to be playing with one red being available in open play. And well, I mean, usually you would expect Junhui to try and go for those reds. But of course, as he finds himself 33 points down. And just having that open, first shot chance there of just getting that red into a safe zone, making sure that Trump is not going to be able to see it, of trying to get past the blue and green. And well, I mean, I think that's actually a really nice shot there by Ding, because I think it's mission successful and mission completed, because Trump has to go for a cushion shot himself, probably just rolling the cue ball into the majority of those reds. No, he wasn't. He was trying to get that red to go into the top part of the table, and he's actually managed to play the shot really nicely. You know, he's got that one a bit too close to the open play of the green pocket, but probably still going to be close enough to the side cushion for Ding to refuse the pot on and try and use the same red for a chance to lay a difficult safety shot there for Chomp to try and take on the next couple of shots there. So just having a look to see what his next short selection is going to be, trying to get this red into the bunch of the other ones and getting the cue ball just as close as he possibly can towards the yellow pocket. Doesn't want to show that red into the top part of the table though, as he has a look to see if he's managed to succeed in that mission. And yeah, I think the brown is going to be perfectly in the way of the cue ball. So Chomp has to find another option there for him and try and get that red to not be available there, of course, for Junhui. And once again, just rolls the cue ball onto those reds. So slowing the play down, can afford to do that at this stage. Notice he doesn't leave the red closest to the left corner pocket. Now you can still try and roll along the side cushion here. Quarterfinal, 76% and 13 out of 17. Tournaments since 70%, 87 out of 124 there for the safety play. So every single time a safety shot is being played, on average, it is going to be 70% of a chance for this match for it to be a nice safety there and not leaving a chance away to Judd Trump. Or if you talk about the entire tournament, 76% not to leave those to Shusi, Donaldson or Trump himself. Once again, not really going to expect those sort of battles in the match of Judd Trump against Junhui, but if you're going to have someone to slay the play down of those two, it is going to have to be Judd Trump, because it just never seemed to witness any sort of those matches in the performance of Ding, because he just rolls the cue ball towards the red once again there. So, I mean, Ding, for now, he's just following the blueprint of sending the cue ball to the top part of the table, and then he's going to have Chomp to try and get that cue ball down the table one more time to position it for either one of the reds remotely on the side cushion. And last pot time, as you can see, it's 7.5 minutes in between those two. And of course, that was the red which has led Junhui to absolutely nothing, when he run himself out of a position on pink and decided not to take that shot from the cushion. Now just going to have maybe a cross double attempted at this stage. The cue ball is going to go onto the top part of the table anyway. And has he gone for the red into the middle? He has. He's jumped out though and bounced off the cushions and gone back into not quite the open play, but certainly not in the position where you're going to have a Judd Trump to try and take it now. But Ding clearly just trying to do something with his play, but ultimately has managed to give this first shot chance away to Judd Trump. And let's see if Trump is going to be able to get the cue ball into a nice position, which is going to have Ding on the receiving end of this safety battle now. So that shot can be costly in favour of Trump, of course. But Ding trying to develop those reds, trying to go for an attacking approach, and in the end, now going to have to find himself with a nice safety shot being played. I think you can see enough of that red to try and send it towards the right corner once again. But has to be very careful that he doesn't actually sacrifice too much of the angle on the cue ball. So that is going to bounce away off the jaws on the middle pocket. And in the end, just about misses those. Catches the side cushion nicely. And still gets the cue ball closer to the yellow pocket. And the red that he's missed. He's not going to be a chance there for Chomp. So back to 50-50 goes. And Chomp just trying to roll the cue ball down for those reds once again. So just sticking with the approach that seems to be working there nicely for him. And, well, I mean, you can understand it, to be fair, because Chomp doesn't really need to bring those reds into play. Ding does. And Chomp knows that. So he's going to try and maybe use it to an extent. But, of course, at some stage, you're going to have all of those reds not to be developed at all by a significant amount of time. You're going to have the referee to try and intervene. And, well, as we've seen of Judd against Mark Selby match, where the referee has actually given both of them a warning for now, in favour of sort of saying that she's not going to give any shots number for now, but if the play doesn't develop, you will have to go to a re-rack. And this could go in an interesting way, of course, because Chomp has got a long shot lined up. He's going to miss it, though, and he's absolutely powered that red into the corner pocket and missed it by an absolute mile as well. So it's one of those times that the power matches the lack of accuracy, and he's missed it, well, yeah, I mean, he's missed it by an absolute mile. You can see it was nowhere near the jaws of the pocket, bounced into the black onto the top part of the table, and now it is going to be a safety shot being played by Ding, because even though he has gone the entire table length diagonally towards the green pocket, it's still found its way on the side cushion, very close to the green pocket at that time. So 33 points advantage there for Chomp. Let's see if he's going to be able to get this red down the table yet again and try and get the cue ball into the zone of the brown, blue, or yellow. Or you can try and go for a fantastic double into the left middle and get himself lined up for one more chance. He's got one red waiting there for him in open play. If he manages to take this green and get the cue ball somewhat close to the lower part of it, he's still not going to be able to win the frame with that red. But just eliminating 8 points at this stage. And, well, eliminating 16 points if he manages to take both of these reds is going to be a very important task there for him to complete. Because remember, you had one of those reds taken out by Junhui previously. He was unable to take any of those colours with that red. And now 37 points of an advantage. This red will get the available red count to 75 points. And he can try and extend his lead to sort of 44 points, it would seem. With it being 38 right now. If he takes the pink into the right middle, it will be 44. And, well, it will turn into a bit of a problem there for Ding, because you'll certainly need all of those reds to be taken. And therefore, you'll have an almighty job there, an almighty task for him to get that clearance on. And, well, just brushes off the top part of those reds there with Chomp. It was a decent effort, because he was risking of actually missing the pink into the right middle, but still managed to get that one in. And yeah, very, very close to any sort of contact, which at that stage probably still would not have been enough. He needed a firm contact on those reds, not just a brush of the top part of one of those. It was very boring, this exchange between Judd and Mark. Yeah, and this one wasn't really entertaining either, but I think that one was a bit of one of a kind, because you had a red over the pocket. And this way you just have both players not really wanting to give any sort of momentum away to their opponent. And it's a nice little shot there. Played, well, pretty much perfectly there by Chomp, because certainly all the right-hand side of the table is covered up there for Ding. And Tatiana was right to say, yeah, I think she handled it really, really nicely, because she didn't even give them sort of number of shots to be played anyway. She just said that I'm going to give you a warning, and if the position doesn't get into a better place in, I don't know, any amount of time, then I am going to give you 5 shots each, which he has. And Selby was trying to insist that. He was trying to make the position work, but in the end, as you probably can understand, of course, he wanted to keep that gap, which he had previously I think I can't actually remember where he ended up. I think Selby has gone for one of those shots which opened up the play badly, and Chomp was able to get himself in with a chance, but he still wasn't able to convert that into a frame win. And I think in the end it was Selby to take that frame, although Chomp had one more chance after that tough exchange. And now just getting the cue ball to those reds there from Junhui. I mean, technically, one of those shots there with Chomp having a look to see where the line on the red is. I mean, he can afford to go for this red now into the middle. Let's see if he'll want to do it or just play it away from the table, because this stage, any red is going to be important there for him. And he's tried to play it into the middle, and in the end, catches the front end jaw. So pushes the red further up the table. And once again, 44 points of an advantage, 75 on the table, as we now go over the half an hour mark. So probably it'll take 40-45 minutes for us to get over the line of this frame, with the way the safety play has actually been so far. But it could be a lot less than that if this red is going to stop quite close by the pocket. And we won't stop close by the pocket, but it certainly can be taken as a chance there for Chomp, although it is borderline on being straight here for Chomp, which is going to make the shot very tricky for him to actually pot here. But he manages to take it brilliantly there by Judd, and well, at this stage it is going to be trouble there from Junhui, because 67 points on the table. If Chomp takes the pink once again, I think he's just able to get a couple of those reds out of the way, and well, maybe he's going to try and get Ding in all sorts of trouble. But I don't really think with such huge area of 5 reds there being spread out quite nicely right underneath the black ball spot, you're not going to have black in itself, so not going to have any issue with the side cushions. So just saying, take 6 points, and you're still going to have a nice little shot there with a safety play. But Chomp clearly doesn't feel like doing that, and well, for a second I thought he was actually trying to attempt the brown to get the cue ball for the lower part of the table, but he probably was just putting it safe and putting the yellow safe at the same time. So now instead it is going to be 45 points of advantage, 67 still on the table, and well, at this rate he needs to have 3 of those reds eliminated if he's going to have only reds taken. And that's why I don't really understand what was that all about. I mean, he could have gone for that pink anyway, get himself 6 points, and instead he's just going to have Junhui to roll over to those reds. Maybe he's going to get a touch and ball though, which is going to be important at this stage. And clearly not though, because he pushes the red slightly out of the way. And once again, aims the cue ball closer to the yellow pocket. So back to safety we go. Probably is going to be the main word of this frame, and probably of this match, therefore. Safety play, and Pang Jung-soo currently trying to get himself re-established in that 4th frame. And something interesting does seem to be going up, because he was on the break there, but he's given 7 points away to Robertson, so maybe he's actually managed to get the black in and also pop the cue board at the same time. Ooh, Junhui with a bit of slice of luck there. He's going to put the black into a bad position there, but he's going to have a snooker lined up on Jot Chomp as well. And once again, it just has to come down to, when you have a zone of 5 reds, you're always going to be able to get at least one of them. So it's all about trying to make sure you're not going to leave any one of them into open play. And I think that's exactly what Chomp has managed to do, playing the shot nicely. And Ding himself now having a look to see if he's going to have a shot into the right middle available. And at some point, of course, he has to take one of those risks for one last chance. Doesn't want to sort of hold on to this frame for so long and then still come out with any of those chances taken. But not this time around. And just going to push one red into the other, get the cue ball. Once again to be aiming towards the yellow spot this time. And get it very close to the ball cushion. Play the shot nicely. But still probably not going to set the pace enough there to trouble Chomp at this stage. Selby match also seems to be stalemate. And what do you mean, to be fair? I don't really understand what you mean. You mean the Chomp against Selby? Yes. But Selby still managed to win that one somehow. As I say, I don't think, Chomp was taking that break really seriously there for him, and I think he missed one of those easy either blacks or reds there, and Selby was able to pick up the pieces and get himself another frame win. And once again, Ding just trying to get a couple of those reds into the open play, and I think this time around he's going to do it a bit too much of that. Once again, a long shot is available there for Chomp, and as I say, at this stage, if he takes those reds with colours, it is going to be curtains for this frame there for Ding Junhui. And maybe just one more long shot needed there for Chomp to be able to get another frame still, and it does seem to be that way, with him getting this red perfectly into the left corner, and now it's all about the ping to be taken. That will get him into a 50 points advantage, and one more red to be taken. I mean, he can try and get it in behind it, the one by the left side cushion, and try and play it into the right middle, and he's got the line of, well, basically 3 red lights there at the bottom of the black ball cushion, and in the end, he feels like he could drop this red into the left middle. I don't think he's going to need any more than that. And hopefully for himself, just try and get the pink out of the way as well to ensure that Ding won't be coming back to the table at this frame. And it is going to be 2-0 of a deficit overturned. And because it is going to be 2-2 draw there going into frame number 4. So 53 points now is the deficit for Ding. So I think it all comes down to this pink, because if Chomp doesn't get it in, he'll still be able to and be forced to fight for the safety battle. But as he rolls the pink in, it is now going to be 3 snookers, I think, required. So 2 snookers to start. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Ding Junhui now. He doesn't strike me as one of those players that he's going to try and hold on to this position for so much longer. But I think he'll think about it and probably still go for the break. No, not this time around. So he clearly feels like 2 snookers. Well, maybe he can have a sort of a free ball to come into play there for him, and just plays the cue ball into those reds. Clearly not going to take an awful lot of time, and maybe he's just going to try and get one of those reds into open play if he manages to do it nicely. If he doesn't, then so be it. And at this stage, 59 points is the deficit with 51 on the table. So 2 sneakers needed there to tie. And well, Ding trying to find the first one here. Just has to make sure that the cue ball is not going to be able to see that red with the gap in between the blue and green. Just force Chomp to take the shot into the cushion. And he's managed to miss the first one. I'm not sure if he was aiming for the second one, but I thought he was going to try and take the red along the side cushion. And in the end, he missed that one and cannoned onto one of those reds to the lower part of the table. And also, one thing I actually forgot about, it will be 3 snookers needed at this stage, because if Ding is to get himself a chance, he's got the black in the position where it's pretty much impossible for him to get that one to be dropped in. And therefore, he's going to have to try and play those shots with the pink, which is going to get him into the zone of needing 3 snookers, unless he comes to that free ball advantage. And he clearly just seems to get on with it right now. Taking that red with a very thin cut into the middle, missing that one. So let's see if Chomp is going to try and take the momentum away. And I think that certainly will take it to the interval. And it's all about just the number of shots there for Chomp. He manages to, well, hang in there really and still get himself over the line. And he will be 60 points of an advantage. Ding Junhui is not coming back to this one. And it is Judd Chomp over the line here in the 4th frame. It is now 2 frames each. Ding Junhui managed to get himself a nice little start going into this quarterfinal, and Judd Chomp managed to respond with both players winning 2 frames on the bounce. Let's see if Neil Robertson is going to be able to win 3 frames on the bounce himself, though, as he's fighting for a chance to get himself a 3-1 of a gap to try and have over Pang Ju-soo going into the intermission of himself. But we're going to be back in action off table number 1 in 15 minutes time. Stay tuned in. Right then, so the intermission is now over, and Judd and Junhui both will come back to the table, but let's see which one of those two is going to be able to be off to a good start now. And as you can see, there are a couple of membership gifted there in the chat, so if you got one, well done. And Neil Robertson, by the way, has managed to get himself a 3-1 cushion against Fang Xingsu after a very scrappy fourth frame, and had all sorts of stuff going in there. But in the end, it was Robertson over the line and winning 3 frames from the bounce. So he's already managed to do half of the job that he's done against Muiza yesterday, of him having that 1-0 down, of a gap overturned to a 6-1 win. Right now, it was 1-0 down against Pang as well, and has managed to overturn it into a 3-1 of a gap in his favour. And now Chomp going for an early ready into the right corner, and missing that one by the skin of his teeth. And well, I mean, let's have a look to see if he's going to have anything available to give away to Ding here, because the same red has gone closer to the left corner, but also quite close to the side cushion. So I think Ding will think about taking this one on. But ultimately, I think the red that has gone sort of closer to the middle part of the table is going to be more of a thing for him to try and focus on. Probably try and cut that into the left middle. And that's the shot that he's taken on, but I think he's going to touch too much of the front end Judd. No, he won't. And he's going to drop the red in, and it's a nice little start there by Ding. Trying to do the similar sort of thing that he's done at the start of the opening mini-session. And getting himself a 2-0 advantage that stage. Winning by a scoreline of 83 and 89 points. And what followed up was a brilliant break of 73 points there by Judd in the third frame. And then a very scrappy and a safety battle of a frame in the fourth one, which still has seen Judd jump comfortably over the line in the end. And after a bit of a try there from Ding to try and find snookers, he was unable to produce them. And, well, I don't think he's going to be happy with the way he's played this shot now, because the prime chance of taking for this red into the right corner is going to get away there for him. Oops, that wasn't the plan. There we go. And he's going to have that red taken into the left corner. It's probably his only chance there. And, well, you can try and think about it, but ultimately he'll still get the cue ball onto the top part of the table for him to try and stay on those colours. Now just having a look to see if he's going to be able to reach it without rest, which will give him slightly more control over this cue ball. Now play this one with power, so he'll still have to make sure that you get the red in, and he didn't. Now is he going to have anything available to chomp, because that's not the Ding that we've seen in the opening couple of frames, and it's more like we've seen him in the third frame there after having a nice little break start to the 31 points and missing a similar sort of red into the same pocket. Now it is going to be 6 points of advantage there for Ding, which is basically going to be nothing there if Trump manages to get this red either into the right middle or the green pocket now. Play this one with a bit of power. And, well, I mean, he's going to catch the front jaw there of the green pocket. So didn't think that was going to be the case there with Judd. Clearly feeling that the shot into the middle wasn't worth taking on there. And catching way too much of the front jaw there of the green pocket. And now it is going to be, well, back to Ding Junhui there. Getting himself another chance of continuing on this break. And the same red will be taken into the green pocket surely. And just going to have to try and find a way over to blue. Be the right side of it. And get the cue ball to the lower part of the table once again. To get himself re-established onto a nice little position there. Going to be a bit too straight on this blue. But still think there's going to be enough of the gap there to try and go really low on the cue ball. For him to just position himself nicely for that red to be taken into the right corner. And then try and, well, put the black exactly where it was previously. And get himself established on for a chance to have these break continued nicely. But the opening couple of shots are going to be a problem there for Ding. Because of the way that he has to take them on to actually make this work there for him. And just having a look to see if he's going to be able to go for this blue now. And try and roll the cue ball through the shot. Does he have to power the way of the white into it? And in the end, just going for a backspin shot. I think overplayed slightly there to leave himself well, a bit too much of the angle. Still going to find his way onto the black if he's going to be able to get this red into the right corner. And get himself lined up for the next shot. Manages to send the red straight into the heart of the pocket. And I think Trump will be disappointed there in himself, because that red that he could have taken on into either right middle or the green pocket was one of the best chances that you're going to get in this quarter-final. And the way this match has gone previously, and with him unable to take it, has put Ding back at the table straight away. And I think he's going to be, well, a big shock to me if Ding's going to make two similar sort of mistakes. So unless he runs himself out of position, I think it is going to be his frame for the taking. But he's tried to make the position developed right here, right now. And I don't think it's worked out nicely there for him. I mean, you can understand why he was trying to do it now. With basically him actually running out of reds with the shot from the blue. But taking the shot from two cushions with a cue ball, left side hands the black ball cushion into the main bunch of reds from behind. And I mean, realistically, the only option that he's got now is going to be the red into the right middle, but the left middle, I should say. There's no way that he's taking this on with a lot of power while still bridging over the red and still getting himself on the collar into the, well, left middle at least. Well, the black being probably the easiest color at that stage of the frame. So it's not going to have an easy way of finding a safety shot either. So probably just try and drop the cue ball onto the black hole cushion, because doesn't want to send it onto the top part of the table because of A, the red being quite close by the right middle, but marginally on the lower part of the table. And also there's going to be a red quite close by the right corner. I mean, haven't actually looked to see, but maybe he's going to try and get this red into the pocket. I mean, don't count this opportunity out, because he does seem to go for this red now, and unless he's going to try and put the cue onto the black ball cushion, which does seem to be unlikely, he'll go for it, and he will. Where's the cue going to finish though? Is he going to have anything to try and continue the break? Unlikely, but he's still in there with a chance. Judd will edging. Well, fair comment. Let's see if that will be the case. Now, I mean, if he rolls the yellow into the right middle, you'll have that long shot available to him. But it's a pretty straight yellow, and it's going to be difficult to ensure that you play this one with a bit of power on the cue ball to get it down the table. But plays the shot really nicely there, Ding. And like it was on the first time of asking at this frame, he managed to get himself back in prime position and back in control of the situation alongside him. 21 points as his advantage, still having 3 easy reds. And still probably he's going to have a lot more other than that. Just can't really see from the camera view right now. But I think you've got 3 reds underneath the pink. And I think one of them, closest to the right cushion, is going to be available there into the left corner as well. So the red to be taken into the right middle for now. And have himself positioned for the black. Doesn't want to be straight on this one though. But as he walks away from the shot quite comfortably, probably has managed to find some sort of angle. Plays his shot with topspin, so clearly get the cue ball to bounce off their left side cushion and get himself positioned for a couple of those reds to be taken into the left or right corner right now. And yeah, 29 points of advantage is going to be healthy there for him, even if he runs himself out of position, as long as he doesn't actually sort of make a pot success mistake and leave a trump on with a great chance of taking this position in his current state. Right now it is 30 points with 100 on the table basically. 99 to be precise. Once again, the right side of the blue there, fording as he tries to take it into the right part of the table. And get the cue ball to be lined up for one of the lower reds once again. And maybe try and send the cue ball into those reds here. And let's see if he's going to... Oh my word, he's missed the blue off the spot. I wasn't actually looking at the blue. I was looking at the positional shot that he's played on the cue ball's point of view. I mean, that has to be one of the misses of the week here. I mean, yeah, you can see all the pain and all the sort of frustration there in his eyes straight away. He knew that he missed that one. And, well, I mean, if he's going to play like that, Trump will certainly edge Ding in this battle. And it's just like it was in frame number 3. At that time, it was 31 points of advantage. Right here, it is going to be 30 points. And, well, same old Ding there, unfortunately. And all those unforced errors that we have seen in the opening 2 rounds do seem to come back at him after the opening 2 flawless frames. Well, missing that yellow at the end of the second frame. Missing the red in the third frame. And, of course, missing this horrible blue there off the spot. There was absolutely no sign of him missing that shot at all, but clearly just too focused on the positional play. And now gets Trump in with a chance here. Although, Trump made a mess of this shot now. He ran himself a bit awkward on the red there. Had to cannon the cue ball into the pink, and now slightly out of position for the blue as well. Don't think he has to cannon the cue ball though, so I think there is going to be a couple of reds waiting there for him. If he manages to get the cue ball down the table without touching the yellow. Just about manages to, but needs the cue ball to slow down. Don't think he will be slowing down any time. And, well, I mean, as long as he avoids touching ball, I still think he might be alright in this red. And, yeah, apart from that, don't think he's going to have any other options there. So, after a break of 30 points there from Ding and a massive mistake, this could be a mistake there as well from Chomp. Because, he probably is going to look at just getting the cue ball to the top part of the table and playing the safety shot himself. But that will be a massive waste, as I say. Both players are still going to be in this frame, but both of them could have had it, not won, but at least had their chances increased massively to actually take this frame away from their opponent, especially from the point of Ding Junhui. Because at that stage he had 30 points advantage to his name, was unable to make it work. And what followed up was a positional play mistake by Trump once again. So it is going to be a battle of the safety here, with the remaining 7 reds still on the table. 5 colours on their spots, being closer to the left side cushion. And, 2 cluster of 3 reds really, and 1 more on the black ball cushion, right under the black ball spot. And Ding was going to go for the left-hand side edge for one of those reds, but in the end gets up from the shot and seems to have his plans changed now. So just one more look, and at this stage you have to say it depends on how many safety shots Ding Junhui will play, but it did look like Chomp had no options but to play a safety shot, and now let's see if he's going to be able to make it work nicely there for him. Now cue ball to be sent to the lower part of the table, and to have one of those reds to be cannoned into the right part of the table. Is he going to go closer to the cushion? It won't, and ultimately I think Ding has managed to play a really nice shot there for himself, because he has put basically 2 reds quite close to the side cushion, and no matter what happens, Chomp will need both of those reds, and that doesn't necessarily apply to Ding Junhui at this stage, because having that 20 points advantage, and if he was to eliminate the other 4 or 5 reds, he should be over the line at that time and have more of 51 points advantage to that point of the frame. And Chomp, once again, nice little response there, especially with the way that he's managed to keep all the reds on pretty much identical spots there and still get the cue ball lined up perfectly on the ball cushion himself. And, whichever way this frame goes, it will be a massive boost and a massive blow to whoever finds themselves on the winning and therefore losing side of things. Because at this stage, especially to get the second session running, has been one of the longer frames here as well, after ending the first mini session with a frame that has got on way more than 30 minutes. And this may have a bit of a quicker ending here, because once again it's a mistake from Ding Junhui, and it was a really nice shot there from Chomp previously. Now this can be the start of something special there for Chomp. He had some brilliant clearances previously on this week here at UK Championship. Let's see if he's got one more saved for Ding Junhui now. The gap of 19 points is not going to be massive there, but as I say, Ding putting 2 of those reds quite close to the side cushion could still prove to be a factor, because even though Chomp is not going to need that pink very close by the side cushion, at least at this stage of the frame, he's certainly going to require both of those reds to get himself lined up for. Well, I say both of these reds. If he gets the black in, he's going to be 12 points behind. And you have 5 more reds, so 40 points. Yeah, he's going to need all 4 of those reds. Sorry, all 6 of those reds after he manages to get the first one in. But, 3 of them are going to be straightforward there. I'm not going to say easy, but straightforward. Then you've got 1 which is currently resting on the black ball cushion, and you've got 2 more on the side cushion currently. Let's see if Chomp will try and get his hands on those reds quite quickly by just trying to play the cue ball into them, either from the colour or from one of those reds previously. For now, I think there was an attempt of doing that, as he tries to play for the ball colour and lines himself for the green. Once again, now recovers nicely with the cue ball being sent to the lower part of the table once again. And now 8 points of a deficit that you'll certainly be able to overturn now with the next couple of shots. Taking the black with the first red here to go level on points and level on frame wins here. Nothing to separate the 2 players as it stands in the 5th frame, if this black is going to disappear, which it will. And, Chomp is going to try and do something about the remaining 3 reds because he's managed to make his way through the opening 3 now. He's going to be on the 4th nicely for the left corner to be taken. And plays a shot for the blue. Well, I thought he was for the blue, but as I say, the blue is going to be out of position, so it was always going to be difficult for him to get any sort of angle on the cue ball there if he was to roll the blue into the right middle. So ultimately, getting the cue ball down the table here from the green. And a lot of back's been applied. Is he going to be on anything? I don't think he will be. And therefore, it is going to be 4 points advantage. And the battle for those remaining 3 reds is certainly going to be on there in between the 2 of the players. And Chomp is just having a look to see if he's going to have one of those reds to be sent to the side cushion and the cue ball to travel quite far up the table and land as closely as possible to the ball cushion itself. So, you know, he had 2 chances there for Chomp. So far, only 1 for Ding. But the chance that Ding has had probably was the better one of the 3 that we're going to be talking about from this frame alone. And, well, the fact that he's going to be 4 points of an advantage there for Chomp, he's going to leave both of the players now needing those 3 reds and trying to get themselves set up for a potential 6 colour clearance, which at that point will be purely exhibition point of fans' enjoyment here. Because, well, even if Ding is going to be able to get those 3 reds with 3 blacks, which is expensive colours there, I mean, he still might need yellow or green, but he's not going to require brown, blue, and especially that pink, which currently seems to be the only colour out of position. You could count the blue in that point as well, but it's still going to be quite close to the right middle. Now, the first shot is going to be important here from Ding because he has taken a bit of time on this one. And the red is going to be saved. And the cue ball is going to go into a nice position as well. So, plays the shot nicely. Took a bit of time on the shot, but in the end, the wait was worth it. And leaving Chomp with a shot. Well, I mean, he can try and take this red with a very slight edge there. And go to be the best ever GOAT in the future. Well, nice comment. And not going to say you're going to be wrong with this one because he has got a lot of time in his career. Hopefully with his age. And we'll see what he's going to be able to achieve. Maybe surpassing all sorts of grades of snooker when he is to inevitably retire at some point of his career. Now, he's played a decent safety shot there, but has pushed one of those reds quite far away from the cushion, so has seen a couple of those queued. And I think Junhui is going to be able to get this red in. And if he does, the black is going to be there for him and plays the shot really nicely. But, wow, I mean, I was actually really surprised of him actually running himself out of position on this black. And you thought that was going to be the easy part of the job. But he's cued this one. Bit too much of the backspin, you would think. Slow the cue ball down. And he hasn't reached the point of making this cut easy there for Ding. And he still can try and take the black in. But getting the next positional shot on the red is going to be very problematic there for him. And he's just trying to cannon the cue ball into this black. The cue ball into that red. While still trying to support the black into the right corner. And well, didn't really get a positional shot on the red anyway, and didn't get the black either. So, it is going to be 3 points in between the 2 players, and once again, now this time, it is going to be 2 reds to try and fight for. And just hope that we're not going to see those 2 reds over the right corner pocket, which currently is covered up by the black. And just get those to be sent to the top part of the table. For now, it is going to, well, I mean, just as I say that, Chomp is going to get the cue ball to the top part of the table and leave up to Ding there to decide what he wants to do with those 2 reds, with them being quite close, but not too close to the right corner pocket there, covered up by the black, missed previously by Ding himself. And I think Ding will try and get at least one of those reds away from that pocket, or he can try and set it closer to it. So as I say, just like it was for frame number 4, no real sign of this frame ending anytime soon. And Chomp just once again checking to see the way that he wants this cue ball to travel. Clearly to the top part of the table, maybe going for a double. And nearly making this double work there for him into the left corner. Right now, it is going to be a perfect chance set up for Ding Junhui because, of course, the black is over the pocket. So, you know, barring something extraordinary, he should have a position on the colour guaranteed. And if he misses this red, he can't give away the second one because of the black as well. Now, this should be made there by Ding. Shouldn't miss it, but he does miss it. Now, where's the red going to finish? And, well, I mean, the way that he's managed to get this cue ball onto the right-hand side of the table, I think he's left the red on there for him, for Trump, and Judd will have a look at it. As long as the other red is not going to be in the way of the first one, he's going to be all right there to have himself surely a frame win now and find himself ahead in this match for the first time. So looking at it, has to breach over the black though, and with it being so close to the pocket, making the shot a bit awkward. But as I say, as long as he can see enough of it, he should be able to just drop the red in, which he will do. And now 4 points of an advantage, but ultimately just having a black over the pocket, the red in open play. And, well, he's going to need some more of those ball colours. But the way that he's taking this black on now doesn't seem to be confident with the way that he wants to approach his shot. Clearly, for me, just try and bit of left-hand side and backspin if you want to. Try and get around that red and get it set up for the same pocket. But if it was that easy, Trump wouldn't go down for the shot and get back up twice there. Clearly, especially with his face expression, doesn't seem to be a fan of this one. So, of course, you can always go for a plan B and just absolutely annihilate absolutely everything out of the cue ball and just try and go for a backspin shot. And, well, I mean, hasn't really played the shot well either. He tried to set himself up for a shot into the left corner, but instead, I mean, I don't really understand what he was trying to do because the black was going to be in the shot of that red anyway. And, I mean, whatever you say, I think he should have done better than that because, I mean, I could have played that shot better because basically what he's done is he's managed to pot the black and still managed to... This black in front of the right bottom pocket is very annoying. It was, but it ain't anymore. It was removed there by Chomp. And I don't know how, but Junhui is still back in this frame there after 3 brilliant chances there from Chomp. Well, certainly the third one was brilliant. And now it is going to be back to Ding here. Trying to get himself lined up. Well, maybe getting the cue ball in behind the black here is the perfect outcome. And a couple of other options, of course, which wouldn't be too bad for him either. Is just try and get the cue ball to be resting on the black cushion and get the red into the top part of the table. I think that'll work for him nicely as well. But clearly thinking about the shot, which he has to take on with a diagonal fashion there, with the cue ball being quite close to the side cushion on the right hand side of the table. Not too far out from the green pocket either. And just having a look to see if he's going to have this red to be sent to the top part of the table, or is, well, I mean, you can try and leave it on the lower part of the table, but almost like trying to cut it into the pocket and just getting the cue ball to bounce away onto the top part of the table. In the end, he was trying to use that black as the colour in between the cue ball and the red, trying to put them on the opposite sides of the table as if left side cushion and the right side cushion there for the cue ball. In the end, I think Chomp will be able to see enough of that red to try and play a good safety himself and get that red close to being in behind the black. And yeah, play the shot really nicely out there, especially if he manages to prevent Ding from sort of just swerving around the black. And he certainly managed to do it. It is going to be absolutely no chance of him trying to get through the green and black. So has to take this shot with a cushion first approach. Now has to play it with, well, either minimal power or, as you can see here, he's played it with all the power in the world. Don't really understand that short selection either because, well, I mean, he got really lucky if he hasn't left a free ball chance. And probably got lucky to an extent as well if he has left a free ball chance because he's left the cue ball onto the side cushion. And at this stage, 15 points. Yeah, he's still going to need the red there with Chomp. But he can actually ask Ding of requiring pink on the side cushion right now of himself. As Chomp manages to get the blue in. So plays the shot nicely. And, well, right now you'll have the blue respotted there because it was for the value of the red, obviously. And right now he'll try and get this one along the line into the left middle. I don't know why I've got Junhui as the active player. And yeah, you can just see this one being taken nicely there by Chomp. And yeah, you can see that he played the shot nicely there to an extent, but still messed himself up with the approach that he's taken on the previous time of asking. And well, I mean, he can still try and take this red into the corner pocket. And has to make sure he's not going to be able to catch the front end draw though. And he has managed to do it. So I think the black for the frame win, because it is going to be 22 points of a deficit. And the black will take him 29 points away from Junhui. And still having the ball colours all positioned nicely, you'll be able to take it into a nice sort of a 40 points of a clearance. If you used to get anywhere near the total clearance now. Ahead by 29 points, as you can see, with 27 on the table. That's not going to be relevant anymore when taking that yellow into its own pocket. And once again there, it is going to be another frame taken by Trump. And ultimately, this one probably feel like the most important of them all. Because, of course, winning the third frame was important, but it was never really any doubt ever since that mistake from Ding Junhui. And Trump had his work cut off quite quickly there by making a break of 73 points. In the end, that break, well, there wasn't really a break, but that battle for the frame in the fourth one was, you know, a bit scrappy. So he didn't actually make any sort of brilliant breaks at that time. But this one has seen a brilliant performance at the start of it. Not so much in the middle part of it, which of course has seen him struggling. And in the end, from the fourth time of asking, it is going to be Judd to be over the line, as he's not able to make the pink in. But it's not going to matter one bit there to him. And it will matter a lot to Ding Junhui, because from being 2-0 up, he's lost 3 frames on the bounce. And he now finds himself 3-2 down there to the world number 1, which does seem to be picking up fine form now. And still looking to progress to the business end of the tournament. Same goes for Neil Robertson. With, you know, Trump trying to battle it out there. Robertson just seems to try and take it now, with him having a break of 36 points now. And very much a high-rated favourite to win frame number 5 once again. Getting himself lined up for a 4-1 cushion going into what could prove to be the couple of deciding frames in his encounter with Pang Junhui. And, well, listen, if you talk about the way that Ding Junhui has approached the sort of end parts of the first mini-session and the start of the second session, he hasn't really done a lot wrong. But he still has managed to make the mess of some of those chances that were presented to him. And ultimately, the first one probably was the worst. As I say, missing that blue off the spot was absolutely unforgivable that stage. And we have seen a couple of those misses previously. The one in the third frame. And now the blue that he could have taken into the right middle nicely. Had himself set up with all the reds in the world. And in the end, couldn't quite make it stick. So it is now going to be a 3-2 of an advantage there for Judd to try and hold on to. And as I say, he had that advantage over Junhui and has actually managed to convert it into a 6-3 win. I think he had that advantage over Stephen Maguire as well. And that match has resulted in a win of 6 frames to 4. So, I mean, still yet to see an absolute clean sweep, but very unlikely to see that now as we are into the quarter. Or if Trump, of course, is to win this match, the semi-final stage there for him. Of course, especially since it looks like it is going to be against Neil Robertson as his opposition player. But Robertson just edging closer on that frame win, although he has made a slight mistake there, just getting himself out of position on the black. So he'll try and get this one in. So that will put him onto a 32 points of a gap, as seems to be struggling with his back there as he tries to mount the table and get himself set up nicely for that red, for the black to be taken. So we'll walk back to his chair and, well, has to make sure he's going to be taking care of his back there. Because with him playing so well at the start of this tournament and defeating his opponents by a scoreline of 6-2 and 6-1, so far probably the most dominant performance of anyone here. He's going to be able to face off either Judd or Ding Junhui if he is to find 2.5 more frames for him to be over the line against Pang Junhui. Now then, let's get the 6th frame started on table number 1. And lovely little shot there by John once again, laying a snooker in behind the yellow there. Not quite too close to it, so still would expect Ding Junhui to find his way out of this one with no real issues at all. But with his safety success not being the best of the tour, I don't think he's played this one well. And well, I mean, has he got away with it? I was going to say just about got away with it, but I think he was way too much power, and also I think he was leaving way too much of margin there in between the main pack of reds and the cue ball. And he left a red into the left middle, into the left corner, I should say. And in the end, he was actually a nice little safety shot there, as a chance taken by Chomp, as he rolls the cue ball to the top part of the table once again. And we're going to start the 6th frame with one more safety battle. Let's see if this one's going to last long, because the previous didn't actually do so in the frame of 5, but it's a really nice shot there from Ding, so he manages to respond really nicely there to the early encounter by Judd. And having a look to see if he's going to be able to get the cue ball lined up for the lower part of the table. I think that way to do so is going to be through sending the cue ball to the lower part of the table. And yeah, he's managed to play the shot really nicely, if he hasn't managed to get the red into the right corner now for Ding Junhui, and I think it is going to be called a touch and ball, so there's no chance of Ding Junhui actually getting this red, because he has to play away from it and hopefully find a way, maybe a 4-cushion escape to get the cue ball in behind the green and over onto the ball cushion area. Nicely played. So once again, back to Chomp it goes. A bit of a slow down battle here, of course, as you would expect. But ultimately, I mean, if you look at this cue ball position that he's trying to take right now there with Chomp, he's going to be able to get the cue ball into the top part of the table if he wants to, or he can try and drop it towards the left corner pocket and just have a little distance for maneuver there for Ding Junhui. And he chooses option 2. So puts very little distance in between the white and the red ball itself. And just try to get the cue ball into a similar sort of area, which he has played on previously. But this time around, he's going to get it a lot closer to the green pocket. Still very much tucked into the ball cushion as well. And Chomp is going to have a look to see if he's going to have a plant available. But I think it is going to be more of a precaution there, because there's not real way for me or for you to convince me that he's going to try and attempt this one into the pocket with so much distance in between those two reds. And well, I mean, if he was attempting that, that's not really going to do him a lot of justice, because he missed that one by a long way. And had he played a bit closer to the pocket, he would have left the red over the pocket there. So not too sure with that short selection. But I suppose he doesn't have to pay the price for it anyway. So just get on with it and get on to the next part. And that seems to be a mistake from Ding Junhui there. And let's see if that one's going to be costly there, because there's a red right under the pink, which potentially could be taken there by Chomp if he sees enough of it. And as he walks away from it, probably knows the answer. So one mistake, well, half mistake from each player. He's going to leave both of them in probably similar position to the one that they found themselves previously. And once again, back to Ding goes, with him just having a red available into the left corner now. And but we can try and take this one with top spin now, if he wants to try and have a goal for this long shot. And in the end, just refusing it, going for a cross double, and getting one more red into the open play. So yeah, I know that Ding has refused the long pot, but I don't think Trump will right here, right now, because yeah, even though it was a decent chance there for a cross double, Ding has managed to push one of those reds into the open play. And Trump will certainly be able to take this one away. Where's the cue ball going to finish though? He's going to be close to the middle. He's going to be very close to the middle. And just about going to bounce away from the middle pocket. And ultimately, I don't actually think Trump will get the reward that he would have been seeking for. With, well, the blue being a straight line. If he takes this one, it's 6 points well done. But it's not going to be an easy way onto the next red. So if you're going to try and land yourself on the red, you're going to have to try and take the brown, because green is going to be no good for you either. You're going to have to play this one with backspin. And but I mean, if you play this shot on the green with backspin, you could try and get the cue ball lined up for the lower part of the table, but you're probably still not going to be good enough from the perspective of trying to get on the next red. I mean, he's looking at it, Trump, and maybe you'll just try and get some sort of traction on the cue ball, get it somewhat close to the lower part of the table, and still try and take that difficult red as a bit of a shot to nothing with him getting the cue ball on for the lower part of the table. And in the end, he absolutely forced the cue ball into that bunch. Well, he tried to do that at least, and let's see if he's managed to find his way onto this red. Don't think he has, because he could have played the shot with less power. And yeah, he's probably going to be out of position here. Unless he wants to take another blunt into the right corner. We have seen a couple of those attempted previously by two of the players. He has also got one more red that he can try and take into the right corner. And in the end, that's the red that he's gone for. Missed it. Didn't leave it over the pocket, which is going to be a bonus. And got the cue ball lined up nicely for the ball colours. So, when he had the chance to re-establish himself back in this break, didn't manage to take it. And now back to Dinning goes with the man from China. Now trying to get those reds away from each other in a controlled fashion though, because the last time he's tried to do it, he's left a long pot, which was nicely taken there by Chomp. And, well, I mean, he's left another long pot, but this time around, he's not going to have a chance to play for either blue or black here. And, well, it's a difficult shot there for Chomp anyway, because it's a lot more distance in between the cue ball and this red. If he feels like he's playing really nicely, he can try and take it, but as I say, I don't really understand the value of taking the shot on. And yeah, in the end, it probably is going to be the right choice of just refusing that one, getting the cue ball over to the ball cushion nicely, and covering the same red with the green. And when you refuse those shots, you make sure it was actually worth the refusal, and you play a nice little safety shot, which certainly has been the case for Judd at this point. And Ding is forced to try and take that red, which is close to the cushion, but it's also quite close to the pocket there. So he's not going to try and attempt to pot it, so obviously he just has to make sure that he doesn't leave it. It is an invitation for Chomp. And, well, I mean, he hasn't left that red, but, you know, the red that Chomp was thinking about going for previously, he's got this same red available, and that could be a corridor for him to try and get the cue ball past all of those reds. The black is no longer covered up by them, so that could be the starting point there for him. As I say, I have seen Chomp take those shots previously throughout this week, and even in this match alone. And he has taken it, and he has made it sick now. Where's the cue ball going to finish? And wow, I mean, he got lucky, but boy, did he deserve it after that par. Brilliant stuff there from Chomp. Managed to get it straight into the heart of the pocket, not even touching the jaws, and getting himself on the pink perfectly now. It should be the chance for him to convert into a frame-winning opportunity. And once again, Junhui was trying to hang in there for the safety battle. Didn't really have any chances of a long shot himself. Chomp has had two already in this frame alone, and he's managed to take both of those really, really nicely. And, well, now just having a look to see if he's going to have any of those reds available there. Just seems to be a bit concerned if he is to take this pink, the way that he's going to be respotted there by the referee. And may have that red, which does seem to be one of his only hopes here. And put in the back position, and the cue ball has to travel there a bit more. And, well, Trump was asking it, and in the end, I think he's asked enough of it. So, not sure if he's going to be an easier red to be taken, though. So, he's actually asked too much there for the cue ball to travel. And he's landed with a way that you can still get the red in, but you have to go really deep on it to try and control it for the blue. Therefore, just got to have a bit of luck off the next positional play on the blue, but he's going to be the right side of it. Once again, the cue ball is going to be quite close to the cushion, though. So 14 points with the advantage. He's going to be a nice little rotation there for him. And I'm just having a look to see if he's going to be able to go for this red into the right corner now. And Ding has to just wait for one more chance there. He had a couple of those in the previous couple of frames, not quite in this one, with the majority of those chances being presented to Judd, and with the world number one unable to take the first one, now seems to be getting himself lined up for the second one to be a lot more sort of productive, especially in terms of points scored. Now if he takes the red into the right corner, gets the cue ball to get some from the black, you'll have a couple of those reds on the lower part of the table to try and choose from. And ultimately, I think he can get past that red without touching it if he is to play with the topspin. Get himself lined up for a couple of those reds to be taken onto the left-hand side of the table. And 27 points is the advantage there for him. So once again, the black has to go onto the pink spot. And that's going to be a very nice bonus there for Chomp. For the simple reason of, if he manages to get himself lined up for this black on the pink spot and clears up the sort of space around it, you'll be set up perfectly for the break. And what a nice little shot that is. Getting one more red into the open play, which he does seem to be pretty short on right now, and still getting the cue lined up perfectly in a straight line there for the blue. And, well, just able to edge the cue ball forward onto the cushion and bounce away from it to have himself another red set up for the left middle. 33 points is the advantage. Does seem to be a bit of a cursed zone there, especially if you're Junhui, with him having the gap of 31, 38 points on the previous occasions in this match here. And, of course, losing out both of those frames on 2 of those occasions. And ultimately, when he wasn't able to win the frame in a single visit to the table with the breaks of 83 and 89 points, he was unable to do any sort of damage there to Judd Chomp. And once again, Chomp just using that green to get the cue ball. There's his little wild card onto the lower part of the table. 37 points is the advantage. 99 still on the table. 2 more reds that you can try and take alongside the pink spot. Taken with the black here. And you're going to get yourself a 50 points of an advantage, with around 75 of those available for your opponent. But I think we're probably entering that stage. Well, I mean, I say we're entering that stage. I've just realised that the black is going to be respotted exactly on the pink spot. And I don't think the shot that Judd Chomp has played now is going to leave him in a nice little position for this red. So it has to go really deep onto the cue ball and, well, making the black missable. And also just leaving himself with a bit of control issue in terms of the next red that he can try and take. And I think in the end, he's going to be very lucky and very fortunate to find himself on at least one of those reds. Because his best hope now is that he can just about see enough of that red to take it into the right corner. And it does seem to show with his body language just saying that it's very, very close. Don't really want to be taking the shot if he's not sort of confident that it will drop in. And he's taken that one pretty quickly, so has probably had some sort of margin there in his favour. Now once again back for the blue he goes. And the right side of it, so just play the cue ball off 2 cushions and get himself lined up for those couple of more reds. 51 points advantage. And the break of 45 points here. So getting on to what seems like the second 50 plus break that we've seen in the match from Judd Chomp, and of course evening and making it equal from the points tally that we've seen of Ding Junhui after the opening 2 frames, and ultimately just getting himself ever closer to that 4-2 of a cushion to try and take against his opponent, with the match time ticking closer to 3 hours right now, with as I say, that match of Sean Murphy and John Higgins yesterday was approaching midnight when it finished, so pretty much 5 hours there since the matches got underway. And yeah, 60 points of an advantage there for, not quite wide 60. There you go. That's nice, sir. Yeah, so 60 points is the advantage and 67 points still on the table. So the black to be taken into the left corner to get him 67 away from Ding, and still have 67 on the table there. So he should be frame ball taken nicely there, with him having access to this red to try and drop it into the right corner and get the cue ball over the cushion and try and have himself set up for, well, probably the black here. Don't think you can get on the pink, so it is going to be in between the blue or the black. And in the end, it is going to be a shot taken perfectly, and Ding Junhui has to find himself losing 4 frame on the bounce. And after it looked like he was going to be the favourite to try and take it away from Judd Chomp, the world number 1 has managed to bounce back dramatically. And, well, certainly he seems to be on a bit of a roll now himself. 67 points on this break, so approaching his highest one in the match here. And looking to go above that with this black to be taken into the right corner. So still a chance for a century break. I don't think he'll need the brown, which does seem to be in the middle of the ball cushion there, onto the top part of the table. But you will have to eliminate this red along black ball cushion. But that will be in a couple of moments to come. For now, it is going to be the break of 76 points as he rolls another red in. And once again, Judd just seems to be absolutely destroying Ding Junhui. And, you know, when he managed to take 2 commanding frame wins, he managed to take 2 scrappy ones as well there from Ding. But ultimately, when you win all of them, it is going to put a lot of, a lot of problems and a lot of pain on your opponent. Because, A, you've got your opponent playing really, really well. Not quite as well, though, as he's going to be able to get himself on a century, though, it would seem. Because, has to try and play an absolute stunner of a shot off the black into the green pocket, get the cue ball with a backspin. Ooh, what an absolute beauty this is. And it's still on there for Chom, because I thought he was out of position. He may still be now, but him getting too close to this red now. But he has to take along the cushion. 91 points, so he needs the red colour and he needs the yellow after this combination as well. So try and... Well, I thought he was going to roll this one in. In the end, he tried to power this one in. And the break of 91 points, the highest one in the match, is going to be the best that Judd can produce. And it is now the world number 1, only 2 frames away from making it a semi-final appearance for the 2nd year running here at the UK Championship. And, of course, finding all the form in the world. You talk about the champion of champion final appearance against Mark Selby. You can bring out the decent performance at the International Championship, where he lost out to the eventual winner in the last 16, Wu Yize, and of course being runner-up at the Northern Ireland Open here in Belfast, where he lost out the decider battle to Jack Lisowski. And, let's have a look how players on table number 2 are doing, and let's see if it is going to be a gap of 4 frames to 1 to Neil Robertson. It will be, and it will be a gap of 5 frames to 1, because it was a fantastic break once again there from Robertson. And the break of 111 points as he walks back to his chair. He's only 1 frame away from making it. Well, Neil Robertson certainly, but maybe a little battle of the world number 1 against the world number 3 for the place in the final. And we certainly know which side of the jaw is going to be stronger if, unless either one or especially both players from China are able to produce a stunning comeback from Ding Junhui. It still seems like it is going to be mission possible, but difficult at this stage. And from Pang Jung-soo, it does seem like he's played probably, the best of his snooker in the former stages. But once again, I mean, the blueprint was there for, and the sort of template was there for Robertson, because that's exactly the performance that he had against Wu Yize, where he lost out the opening frame and then he won 6 on the bounce. Well, you know what? He's lost the opening frame here to Pang Jung-soo and he's now won 5 on the bounce. Is he going to be able to get over the line from the first time of asking and make it a brilliant campaign so far of wins over Julian Leclerc, Wu Yize and Pang Jung-soo with a scoreline of 6-2, 6-1, 6-1. Yet to be confirmed though. Pang Jung-soo will try and still battle it out, but with the way the last couple of frames have gone, where he scored sort of 17 points in the last, there was 3 frames where he scored absolutely none of those points. So that's going to be an issue there for him. As you clearly see that Robertson is in fine form, to say the least, there, as he approaches the business end, not just of the tournament, but of this match as well. Now, just having a look to see if we're going to have a couple more of those frames played in between Ding Junhui and Judd, or is it going to be just final 2, and something that seems absolutely impossible, where Ding was leading 2-0. Does seem like it is likely at this stage, with Judd outplaying Ding on majority of those fronts. Now, not really a great break-off either. We have seen Judd trying to be very eager with taking those long shots, and in the end, very close to giving a red away into the right corner, and left middle I wanted to say really, but also into the right corner. Had a red positioned, and he not actually seeing the green in the way of the cue ball, and maybe it's actually going to be one of those break-offs where, you thought it was going to be quite bad one, with 2 reds being out of position and available for Chom to take, but with the cue ball placement being good enough, probably not going to go for any one of them. And in case that was the case, of course, he's going to try and get the cue ball to bounce away of 2 cushions and get it closer to the main pack of reds. So once again, back to Ding he goes. And get himself into a nice little starter point of this match here. Just having a look to see if he's going to have that red to be taken into the corner pocket. Or at least closer to it. Just has to make sure that he avoids of leaving that one on as a long shot chance for Chomp. And doesn't want a cannon on the brown either. Wants to have the cue ball to go in behind the yellow. And in the end, that ain't going to be the case there. So Judd Chomp, once again, it wasn't quite a long shot that he had available to him off the break-off. But it is going to have this red available there to him into the left corner to be taken. So would expect him to pot it. And it's all about just having that position on the next colour. And he doesn't have it. Very surprised, but he doesn't have the position on the next colour unless he can get through to the pink, which doesn't seem to be the case anyway. I mean, if you're Judd Chomp and you're 4-2 up, surely you're not going to go for a double on the black because you have to play for the red. And therefore, if you miss a double, you're going to have this red given away to your opponent. But let's see. I mean, it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility for him to actually attempt the double, but not on this occasion. And you probably will need a gap of 5-0 against someone like Ding to make that one work. So just 1 point there from the long shot. And back to Ding it goes. So at this stage, you just have to feel like it's just a matter of time there until Ding makes another mistake. Leaves one more long shot available to Chomp. And, well, I think the time is going to be now. Because he pretty much caught both of those reds on the edge. And got the cue ball nowhere near the angle, which he's going to get it safe. And now it's, well, wouldn't really call it a long shot at this stage. With the cue ball being so close to the red there. And probably will still be classified as a long shot for the stat pad. And, well, Chomp just has to be careful about placing his hand there to make sure he's going to be as comfortable as he possibly can be. Taking this red and getting on the colour. Or getting him into a great chance of taking this frame away from his opponent here. So try and play it with a bit of backspin. And in the end, well, he's played a nice little shot in terms of the positional play for the blue to be taken. And he hasn't managed to take the red in though. So it will be a chance given to Ding Junhui there. Something that we haven't actually said in the previous frame. But he's going to have this one on frame number 7. It was still a difficult shot there by Chomp for the simple reason of, you know, the red is always going to drift off towards the front end jaw of the pocket. And if you touch that one, especially if you play the long shot with power, you've got absolutely no chance of dropping the red in with pure weight on pace. Last thought time, half an hour there for Ding, so certainly it has been a while. We had a late battle in frame number 5. It was frame number 5. And then we had a domination performance in frame number 6 there by Chomp. Now it could be a chance here for Ding to try and roll this red into the corner pocket. And, well, still has to focus on getting a nice little traction on the cue ball. And, well, I mean, I don't think he's going to be happy with this one because, yeah, almost a freeze frame there of Ding. Staying exactly where he was when he was playing the shot. Clearly not happy at all with the way he's landed on his black. And, well, I don't think he's going to have a way of getting that cue ball onto the top part of the table. And, yeah, ideally would have liked to, well, have a chance at least of going for the backspin shot there on the cue ball, trying to get himself into those reds. And in the end, just has to try and bridge over those and just get 7 points from potting the black. And play a saved shot from that point. I mean, technically, I still think that you can go for the red to be taken into the left middle, but probably not on this occasion. And not in this match at all. But I'm just having a look to see if he's going to have those 2 reds to go closer to the left middle. But of course not available from the top part of the table. And in the end just refusing those 2. Trying to guide that cue ball onto that brown. But catching the brown in the progress. Even though it wasn't slightest of contact. And he missed the brown. He managed to, well, probably would have managed to actually get the cue ball in behind the brown on his way back down the table, as he was trying to bounce away from the top cushion. But still leaves Chomp with not an easy safety shot to try and play, because the cue ball is probably going to be, well, very much in a straight line there in relation to those reds, which He's going to make creating an angle a bit tougher there for him. So get the cue ball to go to the top part of the table once again. And maybe just get it in behind the green for good measure. And that's a perfect response there from Chomp, because if he managed to leave any one of those reds, it's going to be the reds on the right-hand side of the table, which he has actually covered up there. So, sorry, I mean the reds that he's left out are going to be the ones on the left-hand side of the table. But as you can see, that's not the case, and Dean just has to try and nudge the cue ball into the right-hand side of those reds from the cushion. Has he played the shot well? I think he has. As long as he hasn't left any of those open up reds onto the lower part of the table. But as Chomp has a look about it, doesn't seem to be the case. And just play the cue ball once again away from the main pack and get it to the top part of the table. You can see that Chomp is moving up in that list. He's managed to pass Slesser from the start of this match and now has gone over the percentage chance of Scott Donaldson. And funnily enough, safety success tournament, best 5 people, you've got 3 of them being eliminated already. Mark Selby and Judd Chomp are the only 2 standing in that list so far. Well, you probably can guess that Selby is going to be in that list, but also has a quarter-final performance against Hawkins today. And he's seen as, well, quite a significant favourite in the odds. Let's see if that's going to be the case, though, because I think Barry is going to be able to give him a good game, especially if he produces somewhat close of a performance that he has done so yesterday against Elias Lesser. For now, though, the main focus still has to remain on this encounter. So just having a look to see if Ding is going to be able to try and aim that red closer to the left corner. He's got a couple of those reds to choose from, to be fair. Let's see if he's going to go for that short selection. And in the end, doesn't seem to be the case. Just pushes the red closer to the pocket. But where's the cue ball going to finish? And he's going to finish in the pocket. So, I mean, Junhui clearly doesn't have anything to go his way. And, I mean, he's played and he's planned to go for that long red. It is a thing of absolute beauty. And in the end, probably just unlucky with the cue ball disappearing into the green pocket after catching the jaw of the left middle. And going with the diagonal way all the way down to the green pocket to actually drop in with the last sort of bit of power. Now, when Chomp actually chooses to see if he's going to go for one of those reds to be taken into the left corner, I mean, first of all, he has to make up his mind on which one of them he's going to try and attempt. That seems to be sorted. The one closer to the cushion, which, I mean, is a bit closer to the pocket as well. But as I say, one of those shots you have to play absolutely perfectly in terms of you're going to have less of pocket to try and aim at. And yeah, Chomp wasn't able to do it. Once again, tried to power his way through the shot. And now he's left the same red available there to Ding into the green pocket. 6-2 Chomp. Well, I still think Ding has got at least one frame win in him. Because, not really because he's playing well, but because Chomp hasn't actually shown the signs of he's in formidable form, and he's unbeatable himself. And once again there, he had a lovely little chance, he had a ball in hand, and it's actually going to be Ding Junhui that, right now as it stands, is the favourite for the frame, because at the table, 4 points is the advantage, still 123 on the table, and you can try and roll the pink into the right corner, get the cue ball to be played through this shot, and get himself sorted for the lower part of those reds. And, I mean, he can still have the shot off the black there. I mean, he's got 3-4 reds available in open play. And when it comes to positional play, even in this match today, I don't actually think that we've seen any of those mistakes from Ding Junhui so far. It was all about missing easy shots there that we've seen in frame number 3, the frame number 5, which have actually cost him very dearly at this stage, because after those opening breaks of 83 and 89 there to his advantage, he has lost out every single frame going forward. But of course, him winning the opening 2 frames is going to guarantee them the fact of, if he takes one more here, he's going to be right back in this match for now. And only 1 frame away there from Chomp. So now just having a look to see if he's going to be able to go for the contact on those reds right now, because that will get him a bit of an insurance policy of a red into the left corner. And, well, just trying to... Well, I mean, he's played just try and get in behind it for now. So clearly he doesn't want to use it as insurance. And now 26 points is the advantage there for him. 107 still on the table. And having this shot to be played with a bit of power there. I'm not even sure that he's going to try and hold it for the black. He may use the pink there, which has gone on the blue spot for now. But, I mean, he's going to be on the right side of it, but may, unless he's got one of those reds available there to him, may have to use the right side cushion to get plenty of power on this cue ball. I think he's certainly going to have to try and play from the bunch. Well, is he going to try and get this one into the main pack? And in the end, he's still playing for that red. So he was just trying to use the black ball cushion as the bounce away button for the cue ball. 33 points is the advantage, so 91 at this stage. Ding is fighting. Well, he's trying to, Letitia. Whether he's going to be able to actually get over the line is going to be another point to be seen. But I think one thing that you have to guarantee to yourself is that Junhui won't give up easily. And when he's going to be having those chances presented there to him, he's going to try and make the most out of them. And, well, for now, just seems to be reluctant to be going into the pack. Trying to go for, well, the first red was understandable why, but this red is far from easy, which he tries to take into the right middle. Seen easier shots missed than that today. And I don't think he's got it. And he has got it. Nice little shot there. Perfectly played. I thought he used too much of the sort of back-end jaw there of the middle pocket. And in the end, the red was going to drop in. So 42 points of advantage. 83 on the table. After this black is there to be taken. So he can try and have this red lined up for him. Off into the right corner of the table. And in the end, it is 49 points for him to try and take ahead of Judd. So if anyone said that it is going to be 6-2 of a win there for Chomp, it was always going to be impossible ever since he's lost out the opening 2 frames, because no matter how well he's going to play, and he hasn't played, well, anywhere near as well as he has against Si Xiaowei or even Steve Maguire to an extent. You know, he had some alright performances, but apart from those 2 clearances of 73 and 91 points, he hasn't actually played too well at all. And Ding is just trying to roll the black in once again with no power, but he hasn't played this one too well. Is he going to drop in? And he won't. Well, there was nervy a couple of moments there from Ding, because he didn't feel like he caught this one too well straight away. And, well, the referee thought that was in. Ding didn't. And in the end, Ding was right about it, because the black is going to stay out. And once again, well, I mean, how the tables have turned, how easy it is to switch up things here, because right now, probably, it is going to be the favourite for 6-2 of a scoreline. And, well, still not a guarantee there, because Chum needs to produce a clear. I don't know why he was playing for the pink here, trying to leave the black over the pocket, because now that he's going to be very straight on this pink, where's he going to find the next red from? He's still going to have a minor issue of blue being way too close to the side cushion. Has to navigate his way through those 4 remaining reds for now, as he finds himself 42 points down with 51 on the table. Sorry. There you go. Sorted. And yeah, just having a look to see if he's going to be able to go for this one. Behind by 43 points, as you can see. There we go. As, yeah, just has a look to see if he's going to be able to go for this red into the right corner right now. And then if he does, I mean, he can still try and go for the pink here, which currently is going to be sitting on the black spot. And always can just try and take the black away from the left pocket there and put it back in open play. And still don't think it is going to be a massive issue there for him to find his way through those 3 reds on the lower part of the table, as he takes the first one in nicely. Lines up for a straight shot on the pink, which I think at this stage is going to be more of an advantage. Just try and roll the cue ball onto the left side cushion, get it bounce away there, and have himself for a choice of 2 reds to be taken into the right middle now. As he has a little look once again to see if he's going to have a preferable and a favourite red there for him to try and get the positional play on. And in fact, he's not really straight on this pink, so he has got a bit of the angle. And, well, in the end, he tried to get the cue ball to bounce away from the cushion. Hasn't actually played the shot too well. And yeah, he's going to have a bit of a stretch there for the shot into the middle. But you can see 26 times he attempted to take the shot into the middle pocket, 13 into the left, 13 into the right, and still managed to get 100% accuracy in each and every one of them. And gain it well along in black. Ding is a cover pocket special. No, I think that's not really true because, well, Ding has done it twice today, but the thing is, I don't actually think that is going to be an issue there for Chomp because, if anything, he's going to try and use it as his advantage now to try and get the cue ball to bounce away from the lower part of the table and gets himself lined up perfectly on that red. So in contrast to the other red, which Ding has left over the pocket, Chomp manages to get the most out of this one and get himself lined up for one more red to be taken. So he's down to the last two, behind by 28 points, but probably still a massive favourite for this frame to be taken in his favour, especially if he manages to get himself lined up nicely on the remaining red. And when I say nicely, in the way that he's going to have an easy red to be taken into the right middle, but also just cannons the cue ball into the blue with enough power to ensure that it is going to be available there for him, but only just about rolls the pink in. I mean, had everyone worried, had Chomp worried, and, well, Junhui wasn't even looking at the shot, so he clearly had enough of this frame for now, until he gets another chance. Now, 21 points is the deficit, and this red, by the way, the fact that he's rolled this one into the sort of the part of the cushion, part of the pocket, which is going to get the cue ball even nicer of an angle, and he still didn't land perfectly on this red. It's going to be a bit of a, probably, questionable bit of power there from Chomp, but he manages to get the red in, and he also manages to get the blue in the open play, but ultimately, he's still going to have a difficult shot there on the colour that he can try and take into the left middle there with the green, but apart from that, he's probably going to be just a matter of which safety shot there for him to choose from. He can still afford to not play any colour at all, but just has to be careful that he's not going to be able to give yellow and green combination away to Ding here, because that will be those two, the two colours that Ding actually is going to need there for him to be over the line. So, yeah, just pushes the green towards the yellow there to make sure that he's going to try and cover up that angle of potting the yellow into its own pocket. And, well, I mean, it's fine margins there from Chomp, because if he managed to play the shot nicely, he's going to have a snooker lined up on Ding. But if he hasn't managed to do it, then he's going to have this yellow available there to Ding. So it's just one of those risky shots there, but he clearly felt like it was worth taking on. And now it's all about just having a look to see if Ding is going to be able to find himself out of this snooker situation, which you can see from this angle better that he clearly finds himself in. You know, you can try and bounce the cue ball onto the top cushion and have it bounce away onto the lower part of it into the yellow. But that way he's going to go closer to the sort of left middle. So probably a two-cushion escape, diagonal way from the yellow pocket itself. And on the way back for the cue ball, it's going to be more of a logical option. That's the way he's tried to play it. He caught the yellow nicely. And is he going to have enough power to ensure he's going to be in the safe spot? I think he just about has managed to do it. But once again, it is one of those that if Chomp can see this yellow, you're probably very likely to have the ability to play it into the right corner. And a 6-colour clearance at this stage of the frame will still get him over the line and into a 5-2 of an advantage there going into frame number 8. But not quite on this occasion. So clearly, if he was able to play that yellow or not, he still has to try and play with a safe manner. Get the cue ball to be lined up in behind the black here. And get onto the top part of the table if you are the yellow colour. Once again, frame time going over the average frame duration of in between those two. And he has gone over 20 minutes, but shouldn't be too long until it is going to end. And as you can see, average frame time, 20 minutes and 8 seconds. So, just perfectly lined up there for the average frame time. If it was to end right now. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Junhui still has to get the yellow and the green combination for him to be over the line. And, well, he can try and go for this long shot now. But with the way he's going to have the cue ball to bounce away onto the brown, he's not going to have himself guaranteed with a position on the green. So instead, he's trying to push the brown closer to the ball cushion, which, of course, Ding is not going to need at this stage. Because if he is to get the yellow and green into the pocket, you'll have 22 points on the table with 25 points of the advantage. So we'll have at least one snooker needed there for Chomp. But for now, it is a nice little safety shot there by Judd because he was trying to get the cue ball along the line of the blue to ensure that Ding wasn't able to see it. And even though I don't think that's the case, he's still got yellow perfectly on the ball cushion, which is going to limit the options there for the safety shot that Ding is going to try and attempt himself. Now, just played away from the cue ball, getting closer to the brown, but didn't really want to catch the jaw of the middle pocket, and the fact that he's managed to get the cue ball perfectly underneath the brown is actually going to play a nice little role there for him. I mean, he still wouldn't have given a brilliant chance away to Chomp had the brown been removed from being underneath the cue ball, but maybe that would have allowed Judd to try and take it as a long shot. Instead, he can try and force it towards the side cushion and, well, maybe get the pink to be the colour in between those two. And I think he's played the shot brilliantly there because to get himself out of that situation in the way that he's tried to, of getting the pink, denying the access there for Ding Junhui, maybe he's going to get him a couple of those points there. And at this stage, 4 points is going to be the difference of Ding needing 2 colours, or in the end, needing 3 of them, and including the brown, which has actually gone on a bit of a problematic position, and yeah, hasn't played the shot well at all. And it is going to be 4 points given away there to Judd. So I think at this stage, 16 points of advantage there for Ding. He is going to have a need for the brown here, because if he gets the yellow, and yeah, that will be 21 points. Yeah, so you will be needing that brown from this point onwards. And yeah, Ding just asking the referee to check with the way that cue ball has been lined up. And what we're going to do in the meantime is check if Pang Jung-soo is still alive there against Neil Robertson, or has Neil managed to get him over the line and into the semi-final. But now, that does seem to be the case there, with Robertson having 54 points of a cushion, and well, I think Pang Jung-soo is trying to lay a snooker in behind him, and he's actually managed to do it really nicely. So Pang is not giving away just yet, and he's not giving up just yet, I should say. Now, once again, it is attempt number 2 for Ding Junhui. Has he managed to do it? I don't think he has, and just about misses out on catching the yellow one more time. And for the second time, it will be 4 points given away here to Judd Chomp. So 12 points now is the deficit. So probably won't require the blue just yet there for Ding. But it still could be important there, with the brown being so close to the ball cushion. It could leave you vulnerable in terms of if you have to play for the blue, playing that shot with power, making the brown more missable. But I think at this stage, 12 points, yeah, it should be alright with the brown. But for now, it is going to be attempt number 3 to get him out of this snooker situation. And I think he's managed to do it. And yeah, just about catches the yellow on the bounce back. And well, once again, it is a chance of playing the cue ball away from the main target ball, which is going to be the yellow at this stage. And trying to have a bit of distance to put in between the cue ball and the yellow itself. He's got a nice little corridor of the blue and green being quite close to each other. And in the end, just sending the cue ball up the table in a straight line. And limiting the option of a cross double there to Ding Junhui. Ding still yet to rediscover any sort of form that we've seen in, well, glimpses of in some of those matches. But also we have seen glimpses of at the starting point of this encounter. And from that point onwards, it just seems like Chomp was able to run away from him. And whether he was confident and comfortable frame wins, or he was one of those scrappy frames that we have seen at the end of the first mini-session, at the start of the second mini-session, it always just seems to be Chomp is taking all of those frames, no matter what type they are. If he's going to be able to take this one away from Ding, then surely it is going to be a game over for the Chinese player. The last spot time over 8 minutes now, so that's taking a bit of time on this frame once again. But when you have an average frame time of 20 minutes in the quarterfinal, I still think it's going to be way within the bounds. And it's still going to be called a very quick one, especially if you talk about the caliber of those two players. You know, both trying to play the attacking snooker here. And in the majority of their performances anyway. And just having a look to see if Chomp managed to get the yellow close enough to the cushion. I don't think he has managed to. And Ding Junhui has to try and get that one away from the ball cushion. Maybe have the cue ball resting on it. And trying to get it in behind the brown. Well, I mean, that's going to be ideal case scenario there for Ding. To get a couple of those points back to the ones that he lost in the snooker battle previously. Where he needed 3 attempts to get the yellow after it actually looked like Trump was the one in trouble, having to breach over the brown and still managing to have a wonderful little safety shot to be played. And after a bit of thinking time, quarterfinal, as you can see, 27 seconds for average shot time for Ding. And for him, it actually is going to be quite a significant amount. And yeah, tournament, 22 seconds on average. So he has had a drastic improvement in that number. So now just looking to try and get the yellow onto the top part of the table and back down for the blue spot. May have this one as a tempter for Trump to try and take into the left corner this time. I mean, he's having a look to see if he's going to have the way to play for the green there, which of course he's still going to need, well, I think all 6 of the colours, at least up until the pink. And pink and black, as it stands, are the only 2 colours positioned exactly on their spot. So I could see Trump taking this yellow on there because, you know, as long as he doesn't leave it over the pocket, it's not going to be an easy chance taken away by Ding because he's still going to need the sequence of yellow, green and brown. But another beautiful long shot, but a little bit underrun for the green. So even though it's a wonderful little shot there by Chomp, he's still going to have a difficulty of taking this green into its own pocket, as he now finds himself 10 points down and still 25 points on the table and in the open play. So try and take this green with a bit of backspin on the cue ball and plays a shot that he doesn't want to be straight on his brown though. And in the end, he has actually played it really, really nicely. So 7 points is the deficit for Judd Trump. And now remaining points are still 22 as it stands. So needs a nice little transition onto the blue and absolutely hammers the brown home onto the green pocket now. Surely deserves the angle that he needs now for this blue to be taken. He's now 3 points down here. So technically, he only needs the pink here. Doesn't need the black. But still needs those 2 shots for a 5-2 lead there over Ding Junhui to get himself certainly 1 foot in there. Semi-final. Has he played the shot well enough though? He got a bit of the contact on the pink, but still should be marginally fine for the green for the pink to be taken into the left corner, as he now has a 2 points of advantage. So pink will get him 8 points clear with only 7 of those on the table, and it is going to be 5-2 of a gap for Judd Trump, and it is turning into mission impossible for Ding Junhui, because after he had a 2-0 cushion away to Judd Trump, the world number 1, the ace in the pack, has managed to produce 5 frame wins on the bounce, and he's now only 1 frame away from making himself the first semi-finalist. Or is he the first semi-finalist? Let's have a look how Neil Robertson and Pang Jung-soo are doing. And oh my word, Pang Jung-soo has managed to get himself back in that frame. I mean, how on earth has he managed to do that? Because I swear he was 3 snookers down. So he was, what was it, 52 points that he was down, 43 on the tape. So he needed 3 snookers and he still managed to get that away from Neil Robertson. That's certainly going to be watching that one back. And Trump is definitely the ace in the pack. Well, I mean, if he is going to win all of these sort of meetings the way he's done today, and ultimately, ever since that opening round, he's been improving steadily, because he had a win over Stephen Maguire with 6-4. Then he had a 6-3 win over Si Xiaowei. And now, if he's going to go for the same trajectory, he's going to have to win the quarterfinal with a scoreline of 6-2. And then the semi-final with a scoreline of 6-1. Of course, probably never going to happen. But for now, it's still a possibility there, with him having that commanding lead over Ding Junhui, as both players probably will go for a bit of a break here in between the frames after the last one has been such a lengthy one. I still can't get my head around the fact that I still see Peng Jingsu and Neil Robertson playing with each other because of a mighty gap that he had to his name there, Robertson. Yeah, probably will have to watch that one back. Actually, whilst we have a break, let's have a look on the WST website, what they're going to tell about it, because it gives you the full sort of control of the previous frames. So I thought, doesn't really, it just tells you of the current frame. So, as I say, we'll have to watch that one back. But now, just getting ready for the 8th frame. You know, the referee has got all the reds and the colours set up. So we're just waiting for the players to return. And then we're going to have the cue ball placed in front of one of them for the break-off shot. Well, surely he's going to get, well, Ding Junhui for his last dance potentially, because even though he has managed to reach the quarter-final stage for, I think it is the first time in this season, I think that appearance in the last 16 stage of the International Championship was his previous best record so far this season. And he had a decent performance at the early start of it. And in the end, he wasn't able to convert it into anything more than that. So, yeah, if you have a look at the International Championship last 16, then you had, of course, the Riyadh Championship season. And then China Grand Prix, he still lost out to Sean Murphy himself. Well, I think that was the quarterfinal stage as well. So maybe he's just joined highest stage for him. And now just trying to get this cue ball to be lined up for the red to be taken into the right corner now after a break-off shot there by Trump. So Ding Junhui can have a look to see if he's going to be able to get through to that red. Available into the right corner. Oh, he's going to have to try and settle for one more safety shot for him to be played. Because when you lose 5 frames on the bounce, it'll be difficult for him to try and be patient now. And you have to feel like the first real chance that presents to himself, he's going to try and take it. And no matter how much of a difficult shot it actually will be for him. So now just having a look to see if he's going to have that 5-2 of an advantage converted into a 6-2 win. Well, he's going to be at least one more frame there for Ding Junhui to try and survive there as the match goes over the 3-hour mark since it's actually started. And Trump just trying to play the cue ball away from the main bunch and getting himself lined up for a couple of those reds to be taken into, well, away from the main pack, you would think, because even though Ding Junhui has lost 5 frames on the bounce, he'll still be interested, just to the extent like Judd is going to be, into trying to get those reds to spread out as openly as they possibly can be. And having the red lined up once again there from Trump for the long shot. Don't think Ding is going to be happy with the way he started his frame, and probably has played the entire match here with, you can see the points of 73, 65, 74, 97 and 63 being enough for Trump for now to get him over the line. And once again, it is going to be a beautiful long shot there, because no matter how much you criticise maybe the positional play of Judd so far, he has played his long shots absolutely brilliantly. And this should be the best chance that he's had so far in the match to get it over the line there and get himself lined up with a 6-2 win over Ding Junhui. And get himself, well, a much deserved win if he gets himself sort of, I don't know, 62 more points now. Unless he's going to be on a roll for a maximum break, with probably unlikely right now, because even though he has got the black sort of unavailable play, he's going to try and just make sure he's going to be over the line here in the frame and therefore in the match, and not focus on the maximum unless the chance presents itself later on. But as he tries to play for the ping straight away into the left middle, that's going to be out of the picture there for him. So 15 points scored, having sort of 3 reds positioned right next to each other that he can try and take into the left corner. I think he's got one more red that he can try and play into the right corner for contrast. And he's going to be able to get on the ping nicely. Well done, Judd Trump, the world number 1. I mean, he is the world number 1 for a reason. And he didn't get there by accident. 1.7 million of ranking points. He still has to his name. And of course, unless he gets himself onto the winning part once again there, he will lose some of them. He's unable to gain any of them, of course, because he can't sort of perform better than winning the entire tournament, which was the case there for him last year after his brilliant win against Barry Hawkins. And of course, the two players that are still in contention for the title, as I say, Barry Hawkins will play against Mark Selby later on today. And for now, it is Trump trying to play the snooker of his life. I've seen that on the occasions, and sometimes, of course, I've seen actually some quite bad misses there from Trump. And ultimately was pretty much a steady performance there from the world number one. But he certainly was more than enough there for him to get 5-2 of a gap over Ding Junhui. And now 30 points of a gap in this frame alone. 30 points that seem to be a bit of a cursed point for Ding here. Because 2 times he had the perfect chance of converting that into a frame win. 31 and 38 points of advantage. But on both of those occasions he had an absolutely horror of a mistake. Missing the blue off the spot. Missing the red from a bit of a stretch shot into the left corner. And right middle for good measure. And, well, in the end, I think Trump has actually managed to make the mess of that position. He was always going to try and get the cue ball to go into the main bunch of reds. And let's see if he's got the red into the middle now that he can try and take. If it goes past the pink, which you can see is still a perfect record into the middle pockets. 14 out of 14 into the left one. 16 out of 16 into the right middle, which is going to be the target points for him anyway. Having to breach over it, making the shot a bit tricky there for him. But once again, just seems to go into the pocket nicely there with the red. Underrun for the blue slightly though. So maybe forced to take the pink with a bit of a stretch once again. And at 99 points is the advantage there for him. So how's a look to see if he's going to have available to try and take the blue into the right middle. And play the cue ball with a bit of power. Wants it to bounce away from the cushion though, on the side cushion. And has actually managed to play this shot wonderfully once again out there. So you will have a difficult red to try and take into the left corner. But he's managed to make it possible there for him, which didn't look likely there for him. As I say, having to send the cue ball over the entire length of the table. Still has to cue this one well. And straight into the pocket it goes. Having a position on the black as well. For it to be respotted back into its original position. And yeah, so 50 points for a break and for a gap, therefore, is going to be established after this black disappears into the left corner. With Trump playing the shot wonderfully once again in terms of getting the black in, but don't think he's managed to get himself on the red. Because, yeah, I don't think he was trying to initiate that contact on the red. You can see the gap is 50 points. And still 91 remaining on the table. And, well, he can try and take this red into the green pocket because it's not like he's playing for the red. Therefore, he's going to try and get himself a position on the black. 8 out of 9, as you can see in the green pocket there for the shot success. I think he will take this one on, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he manages to make it, but not this time. So he's going to miss it. Now, where's the red he's going to finish? Is he going to finish over the middle? I don't think he will. So in the end, it was probably a justifiable risk there from Trump. Well, probably would not have said that if Trump left that red over right middle for Ding. But as if that's not the case, we're now going to have, well, probably the last safety battle. Unless you're going to have Ding Junhui to come out of it victorious and still have a mighty break for him to get back in this frame. It doesn't really start off well because the cue ball is not going to reach the bulk line. And, sorry, the bulk cushion. And that red is going to be available there for Trump to try and take into the left corner. And, well, you feel like if he gets himself another chance there, he certainly will be the last that Ding Junhui, well, the last time that we see Ding Junhui at the table at the UK Championship this season. Trump once again just having a look to see if he's going to have a, well, position on the pink. Probably is unlikely, so maybe just checking to see if he's not going to give away any sort of plants there away to Ding. So that's going to be a suggestion that he's playing a safety shot. But maybe he's just checking all the options. And yeah, as I can see, he's just checking that he wasn't going to give any sort of plants away. And in the end, just playing a safety shot there. Giving the serve back to Ding for one more time. Trying to get him up with an awkward placement there. Right underneath the blue. And Ding will just try and get the edge of those reds. Try and get the cue ball into the safe zone. And yeah, wants a bit of the cannon there. And wants to have the cover off the blue. To make sure that Trump is not going to be able to see the red closer to the left corner. As that is the case. Once again, Trump is probably going to do exactly the opposite there of the shot that Ding has tried to do. And, well, with him trying to go for the slightest of the edges, he's actually missed the reds altogether. So I think he'll have that position re-established, unless Ding finds that the current position is going to be more of a problem there for him. So, well, I mean, there's also a third option, which is actually going to have Ding Junhui just taking the position from here, but at this stage, you just have to feel like it is just trying to get on with it as soon as he can, and plays a wonderful shot, to be fair, which lands him on a red there, gets it into the corner, and still he's going to have a ball cushion to choose from. Now he's got 6 reds to try and make his way through now, but 45 points of a deficit is not impossible for him to recover from, especially whilst having 83 points still on the table. He can try and get the yellow in and get the cube onto the lower part of the table. That's probably going to be the main point of a difficulty there. The black is going to be over the pocket, which is going to leave him with very few issues there to try and find his way through. And, well, still, I think you'll want to remove that black away from the right pocket, because he's going to block a couple of reds from actually getting it dropped into the pocket itself. And, well, you can see it's a wonderful little shot from the Ding, but you're actually showing the mistake from Trump there, which, you know, you have to say that, well, probably wasn't actually a mistake, because it just allowed Ding to have a decent safety shot that he's played. And in the end, what followed up was a mistake from Trump's point of view. But one now, I mean, Ding didn't really like the shot that he's played, because he has pushed the red onto the side cushion. That's not going to be ideal case scenario there for him. Rolls the pink one more time into the left corner. So for now, he's going to try and keep the black over the right corner. And it clearly feels like that's going to be a potential weapon for him to try and choose from when he's going to be looking for that positional play on the last and the remaining red. As now gets himself lined up for this red to be taken into the right corner. Now 15 points here that he's managed to score. 11 of those coming off the break, and 4 more coming off the foul shot made by Trump previously. And doesn't want to be straight on this pink, of course, because that way you'll have to leave himself with a bit of a tough shot on the next red. And, well, yeah, he's played for it in the way that he's just trying to hold the cue ball back a bit. But as I say, that's going to leave him with a very difficult cut now. Had the black not been over the pocket, of course, having guaranteed colour, or pretty much a guarantee, makes the shot a bit easier. And as he rolls the red into the corner pocket now, has he pushed the red way too close to the pocket? Because if he's unable to get the black in the pocket, well, I mean, he's going to have the red covering over that side of the table. And, well, pretty much impossible to try and play a safety shot out of it. So let's see, just try and squeeze the black into the pocket with minimal power. Managed to do it just about. So got a bit lucky with that, because if the red would have ended up perfectly covering the right-hand side of that pocket, unable to drop the black in, impossible to play a safety shot from. Probably has played his last shot in the match, with Trump only needing a couple more of those reds. For now, he's still alive now for a hunt, for at least one more frame still. Now getting really deep onto the cue ball to try and play the pink into the left middle. Would have liked to be straighter in this red though, because that way, unless he plays it with a lot of topspin, he's going to try and cannon it into the black, which probably is not going to be perfect case scenario there for him. Now just drop the red in, and he hasn't managed once again there. Just drop the red in, no need to play with power. And, well, if the first one was a bit of a warning sign, the second one sees the red stay out. And, well, you can argue about the pockets, but he shouldn't be missing that shot by so much that he forces the red to stay out. And the break is going to end there for Ding Junhui, and it is going to start surely for one last time there for Judd, because 15 points clear, 43 on the table. Should be just a matter of time. Although, I mean, 22 for him to get over the line here after this black. He still is going to need that last remaining red, which Ding Junhui has pushed onto the cushion previously. And I think Trump has realised that, because if he gets that 2 reds, 2 blacks combination, he's going to be able to go 30 points clear. And just looking to see the way that he has to approach that shot. I mean, ideally, of course, he would have liked to have an angle on the black so that he can try and push everything into the shot with him having a red over the pocket. He's always going to have an option to try and go for that red. In the end, as he hasn't got any sort of angle, he has to try and go for that red to be taken away from the pocket first. And hopefully for him, the shot off the black, getting in behind that red and trying to roll it along the cushion into the right corner pocket. Now 23 points is going to be the advantage there for him. So as I say, 30 points. And that red is going to be frame and match ball for Judd. Has got a little bit of the angle to just try and push the cue ball through this shot. Wants it to be close to the cushion, but not perfectly on the cushion. And I think he's played it absolutely well in the best possible manner. Now 30 points so to go 31 points clear and leave Ding Junhui needing Snooker to tie and force a respot. Surely a shot for the frame and the match, and it is in there. So Chop had a little bit of a concerns there, but it is gonna be a comfortable win over Ding Junhui surely now as he rolls the black in, and it is gonna be another win there for Judd, and he keeps that moment going there. And yeah, Ding's not gonna wait around here, and it is a break of 24 points, which is gonna get Judd over the line. And as you can see, it's a victory for Judd, and it's a defeat for the China world number one. Ding Junhui has managed to win the opening 2 frames, but what followed up was an absolute disaster from his point of view. And now, well, I mean, Pang Jing-soo against Neil Robertson is not really over anyway, because from 5-1 up there from Robertson, it is now Pang Jing-soo forcing a 9th frame and still being alive in that match. So that one still could have a bit of time for it to finish. But if you talk about a quick overview, since it's the quarter-final event, you have to point out the resilience of Chomp, which has shown some great performance previously against, well, in some of those frames against Stephen Maguire and C. Joey, but he had consistency today in 6 of those 8 frames for sure, where, well, apart from maybe some of the early points, which you're always going to have there against the like of Ding Junhui there, especially with the way he tries to play the game on the attacking approach, he has managed to take majority of them very much under his control, and has never looked back ever since he was able to get the first frame win with a break of 73 points and able to make a century break once again there. But probably he's going to be the minor point for him to look back on as a bit of an underachievement, because it is going to be now Judd against either Neil Robertson or Pang Jing-soo in the semi-final. But which one of them, we're going to have to find out tomorrow for the opening part of it. And still remember, we do have the remaining 2 quarterfinals with Mark Selby against Barry Hawkins and Zhang Anda against Sean Murphy. Let's see if we're going to have Barry Hawkins trying to produce sort of a repeat last year of getting himself into the business end of the tournament, and which one of Zhang Anda and Sean Murphy is going to be the 4th and the last semi-finalist. For now though, thank you very much for everyone watching. Feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button on your way out. We'll see you with more action of the UK Championship as we get to the last 4 tomorrow night and afternoon, until we get to the Sunday final of 2 sessions being played, first to 10 frames.